Well, welcome back to Aaron and Zach's Mediocre Video Review Show or Mediocre Rafting Show, everyone. This is a show we do every Friday at 2 o'clock Pacific time, where we talk about rafting and review videos and have fun. If you are watching for the first time, I don't know, if you can get bored in about 2 minutes and probably leave. So thank you for watching for a few minutes. If you're a returning guest, we thank you for your loyalty. We appreciate that. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button. And yeah, Aaron, I decided to demote us back to Mediocre Video Review Show.
Well, I think that's good because you're really breaking up right now, and I'm not sure if it's my internet or what, but you don't sound very good. So
yeah, well, it's one of us. But we were shooting for awesome there for a while. I feel like, Aaron, I feel like we were awesome for a moment. I was really proud of how we were doing, but we've really taken a downhill slide. I mean, the last show I was on with you, you forgot we were doing it and showed up 30 minutes late. And then the last show, when you started, I watched you and Michael do it. You were eating when the show started, Aaron. I mean, is that really an awesome rafting show when you're eating food when the show starts?
Sounds pretty good to me, but I think you have a, yeah. I'm sorry we didn't meet your high standards.
My high standards are not that high. Like, first of all, don't be eating a sandwich when you go live. That's a pretty basic standard. But I just feel like if we move back to, like, I really felt like we were onto something here and it was gonna be awesome. And I feel like we're back to mediocre. We're going to do our best. That doesn't mean we're going to do bad. But honestly, like, our best may just be mediocre. So, Sean, thanks for letting us know you're here. It's fine. So with that, that's just a quick introduction. Good to see you again, Aaron.
Yeah, great to be back. Great for you to be back, Zach. I mean, it's always fun doing the show with Michael. But, yeah, I feel like, I don't know, Michael's a little too nice almost, I want to say. He's a little bit too agreeable. And, like, he doesn't say enough, like, controversial. There's not enough controversy.
I got controversy for you. This is the episode of controversy. So the topic is best standards, I think. And I've actually been having a lot of discussions with people lately about the best way to do things, assuming we would all think the same. And it's amazing how different even like well-respected people in the industry think about a lot of topics. So I want to get to that. But I have some few things I want to start with, some public service announcements. First of all, the Oahe river flow is hard to predict, and same thing with Illinois. So I want to let everybody know that I do not know what the flow is going to be tomorrow or next week or next month. And I'm sorry. It really, I don't think anybody knows. And I think what happens with flows is that it's up to Mother Nature and the weather, and that it's not something that is easily predictable. And it's sort of the nature of our sport. We're all used to dam-controlled rivers like the Rogue or the South Fork of the American, where they just flow based on people pushing buttons. But a lot of other rivers like the Oahe and the Illinois and the South Fork of the Salmon, the Middle Fork of the Salmon, it's Mother Nature, and it depends on a lot of factors like snowpack, how cold it is, a high temperature, whether there's high elevation snow, low elevation snow, what the trend is, what the rain is. And you can have all that data and still get it wrong. And I know that because I've thought we were going to have like trips this weekend on the Illinois and the Rogue, or the Illinois and the Oahe, and just a couple days ago realized it wasn't going to happen. So like I have either river. I had all the data and experience and knowledge at my fingertips, and I still couldn't predict it for this weekend. So I want to let everybody know out there watching that, like, it's not an easy thing to predict flows. And so if you're going to do a river it's one of those rivers, you kind of have to understand that nature of it, that it's not a for sure thing. And you can just do your best guess and you either go or you don't go.
So, Zach, you're saying that you want people to call you to ask you about
That's my point. That's my point. Is I unfortunately, because it's my busiest time of year, all the phone calls and the emails and the Facebook messages and all the direct messages on whatever platform I'm getting, I'm unable to answer all of them because it's also my busiest time of year, but also I just don't know. So I want to let everybody know now that, like, it's really hard to predict flows, and the weather's hard too. Like, even if you go to, like, you can just Google like weather for a place, and even those forecasts are wrong. So, I just want to, I'm not being, people think I've been making this point a lot lately. I'm not trying to be flippant about it. That's the word. I'm not trying to be rude about it. I'm just trying to make the point that really this stuff is unpredictable. And that's the nature of these flows. And Aaron and I have been boating a lot. We've checked flows bazillions of times. on a bunch of different rivers, and you take some wild guesses, but you really don't know what the flow is going to be until you get there. That's the reality. Unless it's dam controlled. Like if it's dam controlled, somebody pushes a button, water comes out, but like in most rivers, it's really hard to tell.
Well, and I think, Zach, we've been spoiled. I mean, think about when we started boating in the 90s. Remember K-Flow? You dial that number and then you'd like listen to him, like say all the flows, and you'd be like writing them down real quick because you go through it pretty quick. And like, I don't know where he got all that information. That was an incredible resource. But now, like, so much of it's online, and there is the advanced, modeling for so many of the rivers as well, like the Illinois River. If you're interested in the Illinois River, type in Illinois River flow forecast, and you'll get the forecasted flow.
Yeah, but I've been watching that I was using that forecast to flow to make decisions this week, and it was just wrong every single day. And so those forecasts are regularly wrong. But your point is, like back in the day, we used to call K-Flow. You'd call a phone number and you'd sit there for 3 minutes while the river you wanted to give you a number.
Yeah, right. And then you have to call again.
Yeah, no, I still have that number in the front of my Western Whitewater book. And then, in the 2000s, right when the internet boom happened, they started showing up online, which you would leave for a trip and you would check it, and you're like, okay, we're leaving on a trip, and then you drive 2 days and you get there, and it is or isn't that, right? But now we have real time. We can look on our phones you can be on a river checking the flows, right? And so, I mean, it gives you a lot of information, but it's just really hard to predict anything. And I think it's the nature of spring trips and non-dam fed trips is there's no answer. Like none of us have the answer. I think that's an important thing I want to cross. Like we don't know what it's going to do because it's so complicated. We have some guesses, but I'm almost always wrong. And I've been doing this for a while. Like I was way wrong this week. So I hate giving anybody advice because I don't know. Like I really don't know what the flow.
Well, I mean, Zach, you're way wrong a lot of the time. So that's not, about a lot of things. So
yeah.
I mean,
maybe they should call you, Aaron, because
that's a great idea. Right. I'll put my phone number up on there. You can give me a call. I'll tell you. Yeah, I'm on the pulse of all those flows right now.
Yeah.
So, anyways, so don't call Zach asking about what's happening with the Oahe or the Illinois.
Or the John Day, or the Grand Ronde, or the South Fork of the Salmon, or the Middle Fork of the Salmon. It's just hard. These are hard. I don't know the answers, unfortunately. And I don't think anybody does. A great place to go to have these discussions, I think, is Mountain Buzz. Because then, there's a lot of people there that know way more than I do about this stuff. There's people who study it even more. And that's where you can have great discussions back and forth. But my answer is going to be, I just don't know, unfortunately. So enough about that.
So we're going to look at some video today?
Maybe.
Do you have some video from? Go ahead. Do you want something else? You have something else on your list before we get to video?
I got all kinds of stuff. Barry, are you kidding me? You know what it turns out? The more I tell people I don't know the answers to thing, the more questions I get. Like I don't know why.
Oh, Barry, that was the best question ever. Call Zach after the show.
No, I'm going to give you my best answer. It depends. If you are in the Duckies, it's going to be awesome. If you're a kayaker, it's going to be tolerable. And if you're in a raft, you probably shouldn't go. That's my best answer right now. Next weekend, there's no rain in the forecast, so it's probably going to keep dropping unless it warms up and the snow. Like that's the thing is there's still snow there, so I don't know what's going to happen in a week. But I'm pretty sure since tomorrow's the weekend, you can look at the flow. It's going to be like 400, I think.
The Illinois?
Yeah.
Illinois right now, they say it's just under 600.
No, it's lower than that.
I'm looking at Lifetime right now. You want me to share my screen with you so we can see it? Share screen.
Well, let me show you what I have, Aaron. I have even a better. I'm going to Google Illinois river flow prediction, and I have a page with all the graphs in one spot.
Well, I also have on my site here. You can let me. Oh, you were sharing now. Oh, there we go. So there's the flow. See, and it's going to go up, Zach. Oops.
Yeah, it's been saying that every day. Hold on, your thing is terrible.
What do you mean my thing's terrible?
Let me show.
My thing's great. My thing's great.
No, let me show you better than that. Stop. I'm gonna share. Watch this. I'm gonna blow your mind on the Illinois. Illinois. This is my page with Illinois flow predictions. Do you see this? Take this off, Barry.
Oh yeah. I mean, I do. Yeah. Okay. You just.
So I have I have your graph right there. You just showed.
But you copied that from me. That's on my site. You copied that from my site, didn't you?
No, but check this one out. This one I've been following all week, and every day it looks like this. It's dropping, but every day it says the next day it's going to go up. It's been for 5 days straight. It's been saying it's going to go straight up the next day.
Well, that's not a logarithmic graph, so that's like misleading. You want to use a logarithmic for river flows.
What are you talking about? This said that according to this graph, it's going to go up tomorrow. But when you look at it tomorrow, it will drop and show it's going to go up the next day. It's every single day. The prediction has been saying the river flow will go up. That's happened every single day because I had to cancel a trip. And then there's this graph. Have you seen this one? This one's awesome. This one has like probabilities of what's going to happen.
Wow.
And again, this one says every day it says it's going to go up. Like it's looked like this exact chart every single day.
But 672 is a good flow. You can totally run it at 672.
It's not 672 though. It's below 600.
Zach, no, that's
Aaron. Do you know how to read a graph?
Yeah. It's
Aaron. It's not six. Look at this graph. Aaron, it's like 5. We just ran a trip that was launched below 600 and came off at like 550.
Well, right here.
Oh, so Aaron, you're using. Hold on, you're using this one. Which do you know how you have to look at the lines? It's not the line above it. It's where the line is.
What?
Aaron, you're using this for. Is this how you're getting the 672 number? This graph right here.
No, the one above it. That graph.
Yeah. The line that says 672 is a line above where the flow is.
Yeah, just above. The next one way down, far away from is 400. So it's around 600.
No, that's my point. So like it's not 672, and here every 50.
It's not 672. You're right. It's a little under there.
Aaron, look at this graph. If you look at this graph and look at it, it's like 530, and that's where it is.
Yeah, how do we know that graph? Where'd you even find that graph?
Aaron, this is a graph. And then this is
exact. They're way different.
Hold on, Aaron. This is the real graph right here. Right. And so this is the one. This is the service. So this is the logarithmic graph. That's the 400 at the bottom. That's the 500. Do you see the 600 above it? It's been below 600 since.
Okay, so it's still above 500. It's still above 500. You can still run it.
Yeah, you can. Sure. Yeah, you can run. I'll get that in a minute because we just ran a trip. And then this is another graph here that shows the prediction at Agnes, the takeout, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, that's a nice one.
I've been following all these graphs all week. Every day they've been saying it's going to go up, and every day it keeps dropping. So I'm going to claim it's runnable in a raft. You can physically get a raft down it potentially, but it's hard. It's really hard. And I want to share something else with you here. Stop. Share. You're going to love this, Aaron. This is a tear from the Illinois last week in a wing.
Where?
It doesn't have I think I'm going to name this rapid Sweeney's because it doesn't have a name. Remember that rapid between Lower Greenwall and even like above Poly above, like not very far below Lower Greenwall, but way before Submarine Hole. I almost wrapped there.
Lower Greenwall?
Little Greenwall. Sorry, Little Greenwall. Like there's Greenwall, Little Greenwall. Okay. And then there's like a bunch of rapids after that don't really have
there's a ton of rapids in there.
Yeah. Well, there's one of them where I almost wrapped on the trip I did with you. I don't know if you saw that. But at low water, I had a 14, I had a 16, and the 16 had nowhere to go. Like, and maybe it did, but like I went into it, I'm like, wow, there's nowhere to go. Well, that was at 650. I mean, right now it was more like 550. And this boat got caught hit a super sharp rock.
Wait, how much wider is the 16-footer than the 14-footer?
I don't know. 6 inches.
So that's 6 inches made it so you had no place to go, and then I had a place to go.
Maybe you did. Aaron, you're probably better than me. I went in there and I was like, I have nowhere to put this boat.
Oh.
The point is, I think that actually, I was telling the guys about that rapid. I'm like, I don't know the name of it. I don't know even how to explain where it is. But there's this one rapid where there's really nowhere to put a raft when it gets low. And
I forget what I did that day too. I don't remember how I ran it that day.
I think honestly, I watched everybody. They just kind of like got lucky. You know, they just went down and bounced off. There's all kind of shallow rocks in the entrance.
Do you have video of that?
Yeah, I have video of me rapping there. I don't have it with me, but I could bring it up another show.
That'd be fun. That'd be fun to look that up and talk about that rapid in a little more detail.
Yeah. Well, so Peter, this is interesting. This is why I brought this photo. How would you fix this, Aaron? This is a wing. So that's
is that the bow? Is that the bow of the boat, or is that on the side?
It's on the side, and it's an 18-inch tear.
And it's in the wing boats. Is it in a quarter panel or is it an end panel? Where is it on the boat?
I think it's on a quarter panel.
On a quarter panel, so it's quartered. So so people are like, we're talking about where the baffles are. The baffles are in the middle of the bow, middle of the stern. That's where
it's not across the baffle. I'm pretty sure it's not across the baffle.
So, and was this a boat for guests or a gear boat?
Gear boat. There's a training boat.
I would just turn it around back. I'd have that in the back and just run it out empty.
Oh, take the gear out of it.
No, not even take the gear out. Just adjust the gears so the gear's not in that back corner. And then like go a strap around the tube there and kind of pull it up.
So it doesn't take on water?
It doesn't take on as much water. Yeah. Put duct tape over it so it doesn't take water in it, and just run it empty. Yeah, that's what I'd probably do.
Because a urethane repair is like, it's serious. This kind of urethane repair is a serious undertaking.
Yeah. That's factory right there.
And there's no camping there. There's nowhere to camp. Like you're not going to pull over anywhere.
You don't want to fix it on the. This is interesting. My best practices in terms of raft repair is whenever possible, do not do them on the river. Do them back in camp, unless it's a little nice little hole that you can put, like an easy hole, but a long tear, anything like that that's messier. That I'm like, I think you take it back. Basically, I'd say almost anything that you can't fix with tear aid, if you don't have to, like if it goes across two baffles, you're gonna have to fix it. You're gonna have to do something to get out. But if it's just one, and that's why I prefer the quarter panels to the Sotar setup with the front and the sides and the back, because I feel like you lose one quarter panel, you just put it in the back of the boat, and you can run out. Like
so what you're saying?
Let's
go back. You're saying the quarter panel is like breaking the raft into quarters, where it's like break it in half, halfway down, break it in half in the ends. So the raft has 4 compartments that make sense, right? And Sotar likes to make them not make sense, and so does Air. Air likes them to not make sense.
Yeah, this is the big reason I prefer the quarter panels. Is like you just put it in the back of the boat and away you go. And even if it's a paddle boat, you can have the guide sail on the other side on the back. Hopefully you know how to guide from both sides. And then you can like move some people to other boats, have 2 people up front, maybe somebody else, depending, maybe you have a third person in the boat, a third person besides the guide. You just have 2 people paddling up front and a guide in the back, and you can get it
down. Nick says he'd do similar to Aaron. So, similar to Aaron is not fixing it. Like that's Aaron saying, don't fix it. You're saying use tear aid to seal the wound and give it just enough air to give it shape. Would you do that?
Well, I mentioned that as one option. I've done that before too. But I in general, I feel like the less you do to it on the river, the better, because like you put a bunch of duct tape on there, and then you get back and you got to clean the duct tape off. It just makes more of a mess, and it takes more time.
What about the Hypalon though? Like here's my take. With urethane, doing a on river repair is just too much. But if I have a Hypalon boat, like an Avon or NRS Hypalon or even a high side, I might try to patch this because I feel like I can do a solid Hypalon patch in an hour and let it cure for a few hours, and it's going to go.
Well, here's my question for you, Zach. First of all, it's going also across the D-ring part, so that looks messy, and it goes really close to the seams. So that seems like a challenging.
A patch of the D-ring is brutal. I'm with you.
And so my thought is this: if you can't patch it well enough that it doesn't need to be pulled off and redone when you get back, if your river patch is going to be a long-term fix, then I'd say do it there. But if your river patch is going to be one that's going to need to be pulled off and redone, and if there's any way of not doing it, then don't do it. That's my feeling. I think it's a waste of time and energy, and we don't need to sniff these toxic chemicals any more than you want. Like minimize that. That's a big exposure thing. It's like, okay, if you need it and you think you can fix it permanently, yeah, great, go for it. If it's a permanent, like I said, like the little pinholes where it's a little thing there, and you're like, okay, put a little patch over there, it'll seal, and we'll never worry about it. Probably be on there 10 years from now. Great. But something like this, where you're like, probably not going to do it right, probably going to need to be redone. And I'll say, Zach, you're also really good at repairing boats because you've done a lot of it. Most of us out there aren't that good at repairing boats.
Yeah.
So
Hypalon, I might try to repair this. Urethane, I don't know if I would. So Their solution, you got a couple of good, the D-ring. That's pretty crazy when it comes to D-ring. They said they saw the rock and it was stupid sharp.
Oh, really?
It was like there was pieces of the sharp rock inside the raft too. Like it sounded really sharp. So what they did was they did a Terraid inside patch and did duct tape on the outside. And
that sounds great. That sounds great. Actually, that sounds like a great option. I think that's better than, I would even say, for the Hypalon boats. I think that's better than trying to patch them out there, unless you're confident with your skills. Because the other thing I find, Zach, is most river repair kits, the materials that are in there, like the glues, and like it's hard to keep that stuff fresh. And it's usually like a little older. It's not.
I mean, as an outfitter, we have fresh stuff, and we actually, if you get the repair kits that come with the boats, it's not adequate to repair a boat. So if you just get a boat and you just bring the repair kit with you and you open it up, you're going to be missing key things like scissors, gloves, a way to mix glue. Like there's a million things missing. Like they're not adequate. They have stuff in there, but those repair kits are, I think I have one here somewhere, but those kits need to be actually accentuated with some things. Some stuff can get, usually there's manuals in there and like pressure gauges. You can pull half the stuff out, accentuate it with stuff. Right. And then, you have to replace the glue every couple of years. Right. But they got out. They did a duct tape. They did a Terraid on the inside, duct tape on the outside. And
I think that's a great option. I think that's a great solution too. Like that wouldn't be my initial go-to, but I think that's really good. And I like, and like if the tape's only on there for a day or two, it doesn't usually make as much of a mess. But when it's on there for longer, and that's the other thing, how long the trip is. If you're on your third day of a 14-day trip, you're probably going to want to patch it. But like, I mean, you're pretty much through most of the big rapids. You've got, you've got submarine.
There's some nasty ones left.
There's some nasty ones, but you're through, you're through a lot of the big ones. You got to get through the rest of that day anyways. You're probably not, patch on the side and try to make it down to camp is sketchy, right? Because then the patch doesn't hold, and it's just like, oh, now we have more problems. So
and also I worry about making this worse.
Yeah.
Right. Like if it just fills with water and gets dragged, that hole could get bigger and you could destroy a boat. Right. If that 18-inch tear becomes 3 or 4 feet, that's gonna be a little harder to fix.
You think that? Have you seen something like that happen before? I've never heard of that.
No, because I've worried about it though. Because once there's a tear in the boat, I mean, these 14-foot wings are like $7,000. Right. You don't want these things destroyed. But really quick on Terraid, I have some Terraid here, and what I see a lot of people
make yourself bigger. Make yourself big.
Okay, smart, Aaron. So that's not what I wanted. Here we go. So we carry these in a lot of our trips, and I've seen a lot of these. And this is Terraid. For those who don't know, this is not as much as it looks in the box, but it's a good amount. I think it's like 8 feet or something. And I see a lot of people just throw this in a dry bag, right? They have it just tossed in there. You guys. A lot of you have probably seen these with just like corners ripped up, and then on the inside it's trash. This isn't the best thing to carry. And I see these get put in ammo boxes a lot. They take up a lot of space. I recently went to Uline and bought a bunch of these tubes that I'm now putting Terraid in. So like you roll it up and it's in this tube that protects it and makes it smaller. So I highly recommend not carrying it like in this thing, but finding another place to put it that protects it better. Because once this has been in a box for 2 or 3 years, the edges are starting to get worn and it gets a little trashed. And so protecting your Terraid, I think, is really important. If you do, this stuff is amazing. And they didn't have enough Terraid to do this, but they could have done an inside-outside Terraid patch. And that would have been pretty bomber. But they decided to do Terraid on the inside, duct tape on the outside, and that powered through.
So a couple questions for you on this.
Mm-hmm.
Can you think of any time that you would want glue and Terraid wouldn't solve the problem? Can we just go to Terraid in our repair kits?
I now think we can. I'm now like, I haven't been there yet because I'm like, well, what if you have? I'm there. I'm not going to tell everybody that's what you should do. You make your own decisions. But if they did this one with Terraid,
yeah. Okay, my next question is the only reason I'd say to bring the glue is if you want to be able to do permanent repairs on the river. My next question is how much is a box of Terraid?
$30.
How much is that glue, a container of glue? $30. How long does the Terraid last?
Forever. And if you have this forever, until you don't take care of it.
Yeah, but how long does the glue last?
A year or two.
I mean, man, I'd be way happier to open up and see the Terraid in there. The more I think about it, it's like Terraid's the wave of the future, man. Like And for trying to teach guys how to patch boats is just like, oh God, that's a pain. And most people aren't very good at it.
We used to have to, because I feel like boats would just tear in the river. That's just a thing that happened more. They're tearing less. Boats are better made, I think, than they used to be, or materials are better. I just feel like we tore boats a lot back in the day. Like, oh,
well, and I feel like outfitters are also like yourself, like they're spending more money on their boats. I mean, I feel like the original outfitters like, oh, I got myself Bailey raft. I'm never going to buy another raft again. I'll just use this raft forever. And it's like, man, this has been out on the Twomey for 20 years, man. There's not much of a floor left on. Oh yeah, we'll just keep using it. Like, I feel like the outfitting industry whole is like, they've kind of gotten over that idea of like never replacing rafts. If that makes sense.
They're replacing rafts more often. Yeah. Like a lot of companies are buying rafts, using them for 5 years and selling them.
Yeah.
And then buying new rafts instead of like having 20-year-old Avons. Willie Bum Bum, you're, as usual, we're talking about.
What did Billy Bum Bum say? You mean
tear it, patch, strap around the tube to help pull it shut? Yeah,
I thought you were talking about.
That's actually, see, what Willie Bum Bum is saying is like put a strap around the tube to allow it from compressing. I mean, it'd be pretty cool if you had a sleeve that somehow went over the tube and then you strapped it on so it couldn't compress bigger.
Yeah.
That's pretty smart.
I thought you were talking about Willie Bum Bum's comment before this one.
Which one? That one?
That one.
Yeah, I mean, sure. I do want to make a point on this trip. They also broke 2 oars on this trip. It was a low water Illinois commercial trip. And there were some people who are like, they're good boaters, but they're not used to this kind of low water boating. And there were some oar management issues. And they broke 2 oars and they were running oar locks. I mean, they're coincidence? I don't know.
I don't think it's just coincidence. I think there's something. They were running open oar locks.
Open oar locks.
I bet, yeah. Zach, what kind of oars were you running?
Our super stout MXGs from Sawyer.
And then did they break in a way that did the blades break or did the shafts break on them?
The shafts broke. Okay. So pretty serious. I wasn't there. I haven't got the whole story. I talked to him quite a bit about it. Sean, you're mentioning the wing 14.6 Williamson and the surge. So yeah, so it's 4 inches wider. I just brought this up. It doesn't have the width here, but these are the wing boats. And
so it's not even thanks, Sean. So it's not even 6 inches wide. It's 4 inches wider.
It's probably 4 inches wider. I don't see the side diameter. I don't know.
4 inches.
Side diameter. Oh, that's because they might be thin. But this is the 16-foot surge. And I'm really proud of these boats because I designed them, like the 14.6 and the 16. And the surge in particular is, I'm going to pull up the PDF or the drawing of it. They don't have good photos. To me, this is the perfect 16-foot boat right here. And this is what you use usually at higher water on the Illinois. And we use it as a paddle boat on the Rogue. But it's modeled after an Avon Pro, like the classic workhorse boat with like a little bit bigger tubes and a couple other tweaks here and there. And one thing I think is really important is having, and so Aaron, you were talking earlier about having the quarters, right? Having the boat quartered, right? And one thing is being able to put both of your valves on the bow and stern of the boat. It makes it easier to pump them up, so you're not playing like valve hide and seek. Right. Whenever I use a SOTAR or an air like that, I have to go like, where are these valves? And I have to go pump them up in the water. I mean, who knows where they are? Where I'm a big fan of having the valves in the bow and the stern.
I like it also on the bow and the stern because if you've got a stack of rafts, it's really easy. Oh, they're too hard. You can let some air out very easily out of them. Or you got it, overnight they get cold and it's got a little leak in it. You can pump them up real easily. The only thing I don't like about having the bow and the stern is them getting broken when you slam it. If you're hitting rocks a lot with the bow and the stern, you can.
Is that really a thing? I don't think that's a thing. Have you ever, like, people have said this as a criticism of that? I've never seen or heard of that ever actually happening.
I guess maybe. I just know we ran them on the inside on Cherry Creek, and I liked them on the inside there. And I think, they're on the inside of the boat.
And but when they're on the outside, for me, when they're outside, when they are in a stack of boats, and you can just go down and bleed them all really quick. You have to reach inside.
No. I agree.
When they're in the water or in camp, it's easier to pump them up. You just go to shore, you put the hose in, pump.
You got to spin the boat around then. And that's where, like, on the inside better.
Or you just deal with it. Yeah, I know what you're saying.
No, and overall, I think that's my preferred placement. Is where you have them. Yeah, there.
So, Peter, I have a hard time saying, these are all really good boaters. I'm not going to be like, this boater's better than that boater, but I think the person who tore it rode out. And I don't think I would. What would you do? Would you switch it out or just be like, hey, you tore it. I trust you. You're still solid. Like, let's get this out.
I think most of the time I wouldn't, unless there's some particular reason why you'd want to switch it around. Like,
maybe pull some weight off. Just that boat is hard
or
to
someone's like rowing it for the first time, like they're like, this is my first time rowing the Illinois, and they're already stressed about it. They put a hole in it. They're like, dude, I'm stressed. And you're like, can I just go on the paddle? Sure, let's just switch. Like, that would be the only reason, something like that, where someone was like, hey, I'm not comfortable rowing this boat. And then I might be like, okay, yeah, yeah, sure, let's do that. But yeah, I agree with you. I think in general, it's like, I think you'd be surprised. Like, you tried deflating one of your back tubes and rowing your boat out, how well it runs. I mean, I rowed,
especially at low water.
Even at big water. I mean, I put a huge hole in a tube on an Avon down in Arizona, and we diamond flush. We had to run all those rapids below Diamond Creek, and I didn't have a back left tube, and we just ran out without it. And I just had no one in the back of the boat and just 2 people in the front, and my load was pretty much the same. And it was a little different, but it didn't matter that much. Like,
and I would say that I wouldn't say that the worst boater tore this either. Like, sometimes stuff happens. This could have been the best boater. Sometimes things happen, and it's hard. I have a hard time rating people. Like, oh, you're the best. We were talking about where to put people in boat order. You want the best person out front, the next person second, and then the third best person in the very back, typically, right? But you don't line everybody up by who's the best and who's the worst, like tallest or shortest, right? It's hard to judge who's better than others. We all have different things we're good at and different abilities. But when you tell somebody, hey, I need you to switch and put a better boater in, are you sure that's a better boater? Like, are you for sure? So I think it can get in people's heads if you switch them out.
Well, I'm also going to say is when you do that, usually that you're jinxing that person, and then they're going to have something bad happen to them. Yeah. Be like, oh, we need to put Zach in this boat because he's really good. Then Zach's going to go around the corner and wrap. That's I feel like that's what happens in other places where something like that happened. Like, someone took a couple swims, blah blah blah. Well, I want to move it a safer boat. Okay, we can put you in this person's boat, and then that person who's like really good goes and flips, and you're just like,
exactly.
Okay.
I don't know what this means, Billy Bum Bum. Darren, do you have any idea? I don't know what that means.
No, I have no idea what he means by that.
Barry, so there's 2 types of tear aid, type A and type B. Type A works for almost everything. Type B works for PVC. That's a good rule of thumb.
Why would you not buy type A then? Why did they even make type B?
For PVC.
But they said type A works for everything.
Almost
Does it not work for it? Oh, it doesn't work for PVC very well.
You know what? I've used it, and so far it's worked for me. But I think if you're running PVC boats, just get type B. Right? Like, I've seen type A work on PVC boats, but there's maybe a problem with it. So there's just type A, type B. I carry both my first aid kit just as like a backup. And then, because it's tear aid weighs nothing. I fold it, so it's not, not a long length. And I usually carry this with me too separately because I use it. You can use it for, tear aid, you can fix tents, Gore-Tex jackets, dry suits, everything. Man, we have a lot of questions here. Let's power through this. We did. Yeah. Yep, we did. I think historically we always carried a lot of repair material, but at this point, just a ton of tear aid. If we were able to fix that with tear aid and get a gearboat out low water on the Illinois, when is it not going to be useful? Like, when, unless it's like an 18-day Grand Canyon trip or something. I'm just a big fan of tear aid.
So what? Okay. We're talking about tear aid. What's the difference between tear aid and Tyvek tape?
I don't know. But I know Tyvek tape works really well too.
Because I know all these pack raptors, they're huge into Tyvek tape. And Tyvek tape is the tape they use to put that Tyvek material on your house.
Yeah.
I
know people use that.
Yeah, but that seems cheaper for more. You get like $15, you get like a roll like of duct tape of it.
I've never used it. I know tear aid works. I know this is gonna work.
I feel like we need you to give your guys on your next Illinois trip some Tyvek to try out if they put a hole in a boat, just to see.
Let's hope they don't put a hole in a boat. That makes sense, Peter. They pull somebody out. Yeah, it's just
totally. I think yeah.
Ooh, those are fighting words. I I agree. Those little Terry Stewart.
Oh yeah, like salt and pepper shakers. Totally. Yeah.
All right. All right, let's move on. So I thought you'd enjoy that little thing. And before we talk about, I have some more things. Do you have anything, Aaron?
I think just to recap, I really like this idea of running with the tape instead of the glue. Because man, how many times have you opened your repair kit and the glue's all over? It makes a mess on everything. Like
it's not the glue; it's the glue, and it's the sandpaper, and it's the paintbrush, and it's the scissors, and it's the 2-part thing, and it's the toluene. It's not just the glue; it's all the stuff. And you open it up, and it's like a used paintbrush from last time, or we didn't replace this, or you go to mix the glue, the 2-part, and there's nowhere to mix it, so you have to use a coffee cup, and it's.
And anyone can tape. Anyone can put tape on something. Like that's a pretty tape the hole up. Yeah, I think we all have the engineering capabilities of putting tape and understanding putting tape on the inside and put on tape on.
We've all played with stickers when we were kids. So that's interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
The key is when you do this is to round the corners. So when you cut the tear aid, they're square corners. So take a second to round the corners, because the edge of the tear aid will catch a rock and come off. So the only secret is round the corners before you put it on.
Okay.
Okay. I want to talk about this. I just did a Gear Garage about, I think I sent it to Aaron, about the little flip lines people put on their outside of their boats. And I'm getting some negative feedback because I was a little bit brutal to people that ran those little, they're like the little mini throw bags that people put on their boats to flip them over. And my point is that you should carry a flip line in your PFD, or just a piece of rope in your PFD, instead of depending on these bags you place of rope around the raft.
Before you go into that,
Dustin. I mean, this is what we do at Northwest Rafting Company. Thank you, Nick. But yeah, I don't think it always happens.
I mean, let's be honest. Like particularly busy summers, you're cranking through. Man, things slip through the cracks, or one crew comes off the water, and then they got to go right back out, and then the next
maybe Aaron Cavagnolo Expeditions, but at Northwest Rafting Company, we check our stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Sean has a great question here. I think I kind of like to talk. Yeah, I mean, so Sean, with the pins and clips, the oar, first of all, it doesn't turn sideways, so it's not as likely to get caught and wrapped underneath the boat. You see a lot less broken oars with pins and clips than with locks. So the locks also, a lot of times they get spun and wrapped underneath the boat and snapped off. You see that a lot, first of all, in big water.
And technical water. You're rowing and technical. You can't get them out because they're flat, because you're doing a thing and they hit a rock and then they go up and the boat comes on them and smashes over them.
Yeah. They're just when you have them with pins and clips, or even if you have rights, just shipping and unshipping, it's easier to manage your oars to ship. The oar management's a lot easier too.
With pins and clips.
With pins and clips.
I mean, my claim is going to be that people that run pins and clips have better oar management. They're shipping their oars a lot more correctly. They're setting up for a move, shipping, doing the move. And again, people who run oar locks develop these habits of pushing them forward or bringing them in, and they never learn to ship properly. And so when they take those habits to harder water, you break oars when you do this and when you do this. So you have to ship correctly, and that's something that people with pins and clips learn early and take with them.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, so hopefully that helps. Willie, yeah.
Because I mean, it's tough. I mean, getting good, and there's bad batches of glue. Have you ever? I mean, I've got a bad batch of glue where you do repair, and they're like, "Oh, that was a bad batch," and your repairs come undone.
You're like, "Great, I just repaired 5 boats with that all at once. Yeah. Thanks." Yeah.
I think learning with pins and clips, personally, people don't like learning with them, but I feel like they set you up for success in the long term. So in my opinion, if you learn pins and clips and then you choose to run open oar locks or the little thingies, what are they called again? That keep them from twisting.
Right.
All right. I think that if you start with pins and clips, you learn to ship, and if you can ship with rights or even without them, that's good. But this is just opinion. I know everybody thinks I'm an idiot, so I don't talk about this anymore. Let's talk about these bags, Aaron, the flip line things. What do you think?
You saw my comments online. What did I say to you?
I don't remember. You said
so let's
Aaron,
just
come on.
yeah. So Zach is bagging on the little cute little flip lines on the outside of the boat, saying that they're a terrible idea and they're a real pain.
I'm not bagging on them. I think
throwing them under the bus, like they're like useless, worse than, what did you say? I think you said they're worse than gear nets.
I don't think I said that. I think someone else might have. My point is, I feel like there's something that rafting manufacturers sell as an add-on. Like if you're in line at the grocery store and you're like, oh, buy some gum, buy People Magazine. You're like, oh, I'll buy these things that flip lines. I need flip lines. And I feel like there are ways for these. This is my opinion. You're all going to get mad at me, and it's fine. I need people to get mad at me. That's fine. I need my ego to be brought down. So please bring my ego down. Tell me I'm cocky and arrogant. I need it. Please do it. Do it right now in the comments. Otherwise, my ego will get out of control. So take your time now to do it. I think, now with that said, I think that people buy them because they think they need them based on what the raft manufacturer is telling them, and that there are much better solutions. And one of those better solutions is literally carrying rope in your PFD and learning how to tie a bowline. Because I'm going to claim you can reach over your raft to your D-ring, tie a bowline faster than you can find that bag, undo it, and release the rope.
Wait, why are you tying a bowline?
Because let's say all you have is rope. I'm going to claim that rope in your, the best thing to do here, right, Aaron? We know this. Let's go back. Even better is like some line with a carabiner at the end you can quickly clip onto a D-ring. But if you're unwilling to put a D-ring in your PFD, literally a piece of rope in your PFD is better than those bags of rope all around your boat.
Okay.
Right? So, I mean, let me grab a piece of rope because this is my
I understand. Okay, I think I understand. Hopefully all of our viewers understand as well. Yeah. So I guess the question for me, Zach, is have you ever tried them, first of all?
No. I had.
So you're knocking something you've never tried.
Well, I never put them on one of my boats, but I have tried. I've been on an upside down boat and tried to deploy them before. Yes.
Okay. That's a little better. I thought you hadn't even tried them.
No, when you say try, I meant like, have I put them on my boats? And I don't want to because, and this is just me being totally honest. When I see them on a boat, I'm kind of like, that's a noob. I'm sorry for all of you experienced people that have them. I just think that. And I want to be clear. I feel like I need to be honest with my feelings. You know, when people are like, why don't you ever tell me what you think? You know, you get that a lot. Like, I feel like everybody's like, I think I want more feedback. I want you to tell me your feelings. I am telling you my honest feelings right now. I look at people that have them and I'm like, that's a noob. Noob might be the wrong word, but it's really close to the word I'm looking for. And so I don't want to put them on my boat because I know other people think the same thing. Right.
But if you will use them, that would change the dynamic dramatically.
No. So what would happen with Dustin?
Let's back up.
Dustin would look at me and say, that guy's a noob.
Yeah. And I think Dustin asked a great question. And that's the question I want to ask with it. It's like, in general, Zach, I'm on board with you. I'm not a fan of them. But before I just like burn them all in a huge pyro fire.
You don't have any. You've never been on a boat ever that has them.
No, but before I go cut them off everyone's boat that has them and burn them in a big fire so their own safety.
It's not a safety thing. Mark Hurst is claiming it's a safety thing, but I'm not claiming it's a safety thing.
Oh, it's not a safety thing.
I mean, theoretically, people have said you could hit a rock and they come undone under the rope. But I mean, whatever. I just think they're like useless. And
what are the advantages of them?
There are none.
I can think of at least one. When your boats are parked next to each other in camp, it keeps them from squeaking when you want to sleep on your boat. That's nice.
Okay, cool. I didn't think about that. That's
a good. I mean,
yeah. Peter, I agree. A cam strap. Yeah. You could literally put a cam strap in your PFD easier than these flip bags, and then you have a cam strap. Then, like, let's say you need a cam strap to do something with. These bags of rope serve no other purpose than to help you flip a boat in an awkward manner. Like every other option provides some other value.
Well, and I think the question is, Yeah, it's free. Exactly. Thank you, Willie Bum Bum. The other thing that I could see is the advantage is you don't carry that carabiner on you, which means you have less weight on your body. And that's the other one. But that's, I think, I'm not one carabiner, okay. But, like, me, I'm not about carrying pulleys and all that stuff on you. But, like, okay, yeah, you're right. But I don't think it's worth it. And it seems like to me,
your point is if you don't want the carabiner, just have a piece of rope and tie a knot. Or have a rope long enough to where you can just put it through and just have like a loop that's like not knotted.
Oh, yeah.
Let's say a 12 piece of webbing, just wrap it through and pull both, grab both in one hand and flip. You don't even need a knot.
That's true. Yeah.
But you can also tie a bowline. Or a figure eight follow-through.
Yeah, I think your bowline argument kind of is negated by the fact that you complain about having to go over the side to undo the little thing to pull the rope out. I think it's a lot harder to tie a bowline on the side than, undo this and grab the line and pull it out.
Not for me. But yeah, if you can't tie a bowline, this is an issue. If you can't tie a bowline.
Tying a bowline over the side is harder because you got to think about it. It's at a weird angle. You're like, okay, the rabbit's there.
As a fellow Eagle Scout, I'm now disappointed you can't tie a bowline that easy.
Oh, I can tie bowlines, but if you change your angle and you change your perspective, usually I tie them a couple of ways, and that's a different way. And you're in the middle of it, so.
Yeah, two half hitches would work. Anything would work.
Okay, who do you think could tie a bowline faster, you or me?
I have some tricks, so probably me.
I don't know. I can tie pretty darn fast. I do too. Okay. Yeah.
Well,
we may have to on another episode. I don't have rope here, but we may have to compete.
Okay. Yeah, well, we're way off topic. We got to actually get to some stuff we want to talk about.
Sorry, everyone.
Sorry, yes. The cam strap. This guys, just saying, this show is now mediocre. You're choosing to watch this, so you chose to be here. Yeah. So anyway, I just want to you
see anti-squeak
this week. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's why So now I'm not going to look at them with such disdain. I'm like, oh, that's smart. They don't want to bump in camp. They want to not have the boat squeak.
Zach, if you had one of those on the outside of that raft, it may not have gotten that hole in it.
Dustin is so nice. For new boaters who don't see, my issue with this is that they might keep using it their whole career, right? And I did some research on these before I did my rant, and Salamander makes them too. So it's not just an Interest thing. Salamander makes them. So there's more than one company that makes these. But we're gonna move on to talk about standards. What are you doing, Aaron? You're on a live show right now and you're muted.
Yeah, it's hot in here. Sorry, I had to turn on the fan, get a little airflow going because I got the window closed. It's Hawaii, man. It's hot here.
At least not eating a sandwich right now. Okay, well, so I think where we're headed is to talk about where we're trying to segue to is what are some starting to become what I'm going to call best practices. And I'm starting to think about best practices a lot. And I've been calling a number of people lately who I think are leaders in the industry in terms of rescue and just boating to get their thoughts on some different things. And it's interesting how different opinions I'm hearing. It's pretty shocking to me, actually. And I think I want to start writing down what our best practice is. And this is an example of what I feel like is the best practice. I feel that everybody should carry some sort of webbing and carabiner with them. I feel like that should be a thing everybody does in their PFD. I know, Aaron, you don't want the weight of the carabiner, so maybe you get a titanium carabiner. But I feel like that should be standard thing. And even for new boaters, it's hey, don't buy these flip lines, right? Buy NRS should sell a carabiner and a piece of rope, right?
Let's be more specific. Hold on. Locking carabiner. If we're talking about standards, well, let's start right there. The locking carabiner, I think, is that's the flip line all about it. The locking carabiners. I think the non-locking, not best practices for sure.
Yeah. So good. Best practices is locking beaner. And I feel like if you have the locking beaner and the piece of rope, you can then flip a boat back over as needed. Right. And these bags aren't that important.
And make an anchor. You can do a lot of other things with it.
You could do a boat. So let's just say it's a flip line and a piece of rope. Right. I'm gonna keep it super simple, right? You can flip a boat, you can do some other stuff, but I'm gonna say, how about a flip line and a strong piece of rope, like a piece of webbing or something that's rated.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden you can do an anchor on the raft. You can do an anchor on shore. You can just hold your boat with a little leash. You have something that is a valuable tool. If you do wrap, and Nick's probably listening. We just did an IRF class where we had a full wrap. Here, actually, I have that photo up. Let me pull this photo up.
Well, and I'll say, Zach, I've seen people use their flip lines, which I'm not sure your feelings are like. Sometimes when you're trying to tie your boat up on shore, you go up to a tree and pulling the whole line around the tree is tricky because just the size of it and trying to get it around. And so they'll just clip their flip. I'm not a big fan of that, actually.
Well, okay. So we just, this is that wrap I told you about in the IRF course. Like Nick and Aaron were able to fully wrap this boat for training, right? Yep. Which was pretty cool. And, you know, we're on an aside now, but the triple leader candidate who was handling this, she immediately thought wrap equals 3-to-1. And she immediately looked for an anchor, the fastest, quickest anchor. And her mind was like, let's set up a 3-to-1 to the closest anchor, which would not have gotten this boat off. Like just you and I you would look at this and like that, her angle and everything wouldn't work. And some other more experienced people on the trip who were not being assessed as trip leaders, but were her guides for the scenario, urged her to try some different things first. And one of them was they just pull on the tubes with their flip lines. Yeah. And Nick, tell me if I'm wrong. I think those were your flip lines. I don't think you guys had other webbing. And they spent like 30, 40 minutes just yarding on it with their flip lines. And so having those flip lines handy is super useful for a thing like this. And so where I don't think the little flip bags would have come in very handy at this point, right? Because it wasn't, they're not set up for the right angle. So having these, it can be a rope with a locking carabiner or a rated piece of rope or webbing and a carabiner, but that has so much value for boaters. And I think it should be like whistle, knife, rope with carabiner.
Yeah, and Zach, I'll say like in this example here that you're discussing, I got a lot to say about this. First of all, the first place I would go is if I were them, I would take my flip line and clip it on the upstream tube on the D-rings that are underwater on the upstream tube. Clip on there and then stand up where Nick's sitting right now and just stand up on the tube and have them pull up and just try to, because it's kind of a flat wrap, it's pretty flat, and just try to pull that up. This is a great photo for this. I want this photo actually. A great photo for showing what a flat wrap looks like, and then pull up that upstream tube. And once it breaks the surface, the water would start to empty out. You never get you don't have to get any ropes from shore. But the other thing about it is going back to that, if they were to do the same thing with their little flip lines and grab the flip lines on you're going the wrong way.
I'm trying to find more photos. It's kind of out of order.
But anyways, if you're that same spot and you were to pull a flip line off, those cool flip lines that they have, once you let go of it, how are you going to stuff it back in the bag? How are you going to maintain that piece of rope? Otherwise, it's just floating out there, getting stuck underneath stuff. Yeah, I'm in agreement. I'm not a fan of the permanent affixed throw bag ropes. I just don't see the benefits besides for squeaking. I seriously think squeaking is the best reason I'd want those.
I wish NRS sold a little thing like this on a rope. That's the anti-squeaker thing, right? It was just like a little bouncy thing, and then you could have to, maybe you have those, but I'm still going to think you'll look like a noob with that. But I mean, here they are again. Like we spent a lot of time. When I say I was on shore watching. They spent a lot of time pulling on the rope in different directions. The rope inside the boat, we spent a good at least half an hour, 40 minutes before a rope even hit the boat. And I think your point is about how you get it off is don't pull from that tube, pull from the underwater tube, which would raise it up and water would stop coming in and it would come around, right?
I've had a lot of success. I've had a lot of success with that. I'm not saying it would work there, but that's where I would have started because I've had a lot of success with it. So,
and while we're just on the topic of what happened, I'm finding that pretty much without fail, if you pull upstream at an angle from the far end, that's usually how it comes off. So this didn't take a 3-to-1. This took 5 people pulling on rope that was stretching, and with that angle, I'm finding is a pretty nice. Angle. Let's get to some. Hold on.
We've got a lot of comments.
Yeah. So David, several people when the front's boat's upside down, they have several people. Wait, we have to get way back. Hold on. Wait, here is upside down. They have several people on the floor, and they need another rope. You can totally throw the bag to them 20 feet away. Which bag is this? The NRS
Well,
bag?
I think what they're saying is, I'm not sure which side he's arguing on this, but he's just talking about if you need more than one. if you need more than one rope to flip the boat over, because you got a bunch of people up on top of the upside down boat to pull it back over, then I'm saying, I think one of the arguments is like, hey, having those 2 bags would be nice, and you can split people up more, and then you could use a throw bag too, which so I don't know if that's what he was talking about within that, but that kind of covers, I think, that topic, and those are good points. I mean, I feel like if you need more than a couple people to flip the boat back over, it's usually like a big gear boat, and you're probably gonna, at that point, you're probably gonna eddy out, and you're not gonna be, in general, with big, huge gear boats. I don't really feel like you flip them in the current. You know, we've talked about this before.
We're getting to standards, because I have some interesting where I'm headed. I'm getting sidetracked here. I have some thoughts about flipping boats here in a second, but I'm going to claim that like you also have your bow line that you can untie and string through a D-ring and use too. It's long, but you have a bow line on both ends. Yeah. But let's go on, guys. I feel like I don't think when I pay my friends wear this on a private trip, I'd say like guides, like people who are experienced, who have the like astral jackets, all the pockets. If you give somebody like a customer jacket, there's nowhere to put this stuff. But I think, if you give your friend like your extra whatever jacket, does it hurt to have a rope with a carabiner in there?
What are they going to do with it? What crazy things are they going to come up with?
They're not going to do anything bad.
You don't know.
No. How hurt can you get?
I feel like
how hurt can you get with a rope and a carabiner on the end? How much
just
trouble
get nailed in the face? Someone pulls it out,
whatever,
and they try to throw it to somebody, and they throw the carabiner, and they hit someone in the face. I don't know.
But I feel like, and so when you say guides, I mean, I'm not just saying professional river guides who make a living doing this. I'd say, and in my opinion, this is my new opinion, as I think about best practices, I'm of the thinking that everybody who is a boater should have this locking carabiner and piece of strong rope or webbing with them. That's just like my new thinking, because of its value in so many things. And with that, in my opinion, it eliminates the need for these little bags that NRS sells you as you're checking out when you buy your raft. I struggle climbing upside down boat in whitewater. The bag I could climb up without the rope. What do you think about that, Aaron?
Well, I think you're better off having. There's 2 types of flip lines. Let's just be clear. There's the flipping the boat back over flip line, and then there's flip lines where it's a line on the bottom of your boat in case you flip to help you climb up on top of the boat when it's upside down. And if you're having a hard time climbing on your upside down boat in general, I think it's good to affix a permanent line underneath your raft to help you. Because this type of thing where you're going to have to open it, deploy it, go around the other side. No, just have a permanent line along the bottom of your boat, and you're good to go.
Yeah, I don't think that. I mean, I don't know how I would use that bag to get back in the boat personally, because it attaches to a D-ring. But
you throw the line over. You throw the line over the other side of the boat. Then you go around to the other side of the boat and use
that's
it.
Interesting.
I'm guessing. I've heard a couple people say that. I've heard a couple people mention that. I think that's a lot of time in the river, going all around to the other side of the boat. How many rocks are you going to run into? It's just like, no, I'd rather have a line across the bottom, and I can just like pull myself up on that line that's permanently affixed.
So on the topic of best practices, and which is on my list of things, I now believe, and I just saw one. I've never used one of those before. And we were saying is about a stern line that's tied against the bottom that you can use to climb back in the boat, but also when the boat flips, if you pull people in, there's something to hold on to.
Yeah.
And
I'll say bow to stern's one way to do it. I've done it widthwise too, towards the back of the boat. And I've made like a little triangle in the very back of the boat, which is nice too. I've seen
back in the back.
Yeah. I like the triangle in the back for people like you who like to climb in off the back. I think it works really well for climbing up it. And I think that works the best for a lot of people. The one line over the whole thing, I like that one too, but I feel like it has more drag.
Well, I've just used it for the first time. I was always kind of anti, like it's going to get caught on rocks. We just did a lot of low water boating with it and did fine. And it really helped people climb on the upside down boat when we're doing flip practice. And then on the topic of flips, and we'll get these questions in a second, in my best practices research, I'm asking, we talked about flips a little bit. And some people are of the thinking that not all the time, but most of the time, if a boat flips, you should get everybody on the boat and get them to shore.
No,
I
totally disagree. I completely think that's stupid.
I mean, this is
I'm going to say no.
Because hold on, Aaron, slow down. Don't get you're fired up, man.
Let's just stop that idea right now.
Okay, hold on, slow down. So let's get back to this. I want to answer some questions and come back to it. But I think in my mind, I like the bow to stern line one because it helps people get back in the boat who are struggling. It's faster than untying that little bag, throwing it over, swimming to the other side. It's ready to go. But also, if you are in the upside down boat and run a rapid, there's something to grab on. So if you're running a high water Tuolumne trip, it's really, I think, kind of now in my mind, that's a thing to have. A high water Middle Fork of the Salmon trip, right? You may not get that boat flipped over. Maybe there's a situation where you do pull everybody on, and you want them to hold on to something for the next 2 miles that they might go on the upside down boat. So I'm starting to believe now, and this is new to me, that if we think of best practices, that a lot of times having that bow to stern line under the boat is really valuable, and having it be in a way that can be tightened. So I think a cam strap is the way to do it personally. But I'm wrapping my brain around this. So I'm thinking of best practices. I'm willing to put that in best practices, especially for big water. Let's come back to your.
I'm just gonna say yes. When I do my bow to stern flip line, I basically, I'll use a cam strap to tighten it down. I have a piece of webbing going all the way across one length of webbing, and at the end, I've got a cam strap that's circled around it for the end part, and just tighten that down, and then you can get it nice and snug. Yeah,
I think, in my opinion, here, I think NRS should make these, not those little boat bags, right? Like when you check out, I would give these things a name, and that's a valuable thing NRS could be selling as an add-on to your boat.
And you could even, you could do a male and female end where you just have a strap that comes all across, and you just have the male end here, and you just can pull down on it. So it doesn't matter the length of you can keep it tight, and it'll work great. And just,
there's a chance for some people to make some money. I don't think, I'm not gonna get into that. Boat buoys, cool for clotheslines. Yeah. I mean, having rope will help you with like a 10-foot piece of rope. You can do a clothesline. I'm into it. They are not more of a private boater thing. David, I'm a private boater. I private boated with you. I don't have my boat when I was.
Hold on, though, Zach. They are more of a private boater thing. The percentage. What's the percentage of commercial boaters that use them?
0.
Okay. What's the percentage of private boaters use them?
10. I'd say 10. Yeah. But it doesn't mean it's more of a private boater thing. That insinuates that a lot of private boaters do it.
It is more of a private boater thing. If no commercial boaters use it, it's way more of a private.
I'm not going to. This isn't a private versus commercial thing. This is, to me, it's logic versus illogical.
Well, I agree it's illogical, but yeah, it's a private boater illogical thing.
Saying untrained friends, I'm fine with it. It's a piece of rope. You're saying your friends can have a piece of rope?
Know your friends well and be careful about that.
No, Aaron's worried about him like using. Aaron's saying they might use it as a whip and smash you in the face with a pulley.
Who knows?
Yes.
Who knows what they're going to do with it?
Untrained friends are allowed to have a piece of rope and a carabiner.
Yeah, Zach might do that. Zach's friends are probably smarter than my friends. Sorry, my friends.
We are friends, so
yeah, exactly. Zach's friends are smarter than my friends. That's exactly.
Sean, thank you for agreeing with us. Yeah, I have the same question. I don't understand the triangle in the back, Aaron.
Okay, but think about it this way: is like if you, let's say you go like you start at the stern. Right. And then you take your piece of, you take a cam strap and you run it through from the stern and the D-ring in the stern. You run it up and down through one of the holes, the last bailing hole on the flat part, and then back out the next one. And then you go over to the other side and go through a bailing hole and come out the next one and then come back down. So it makes a triangle.
Oh, then there's a widthwise thing you can grab and pull yourself up. Yeah.
So you can grab these ones here. They're coming down and work your way up. When you get up far enough, you can grab the other one and pull you up. And then what's nice is, depending, you can have it sit so it's not all the way up on the flat, so it's on more of the back rounded part, so it's not really dragging as much, and it gives you more to work with to get up in there. I found a lot of people have success with the triangle.
I think as I think about rafts and manufacturers and designs and all this, I wish that when they design boats, they thought about this stuff. Like, how do you get in the upside down boat, and can they create a better placement of things? Like there's a boat, an NRS boat I tried to get into the other day, and the D-rings are unreachable from the ends. Like there's no D-rings coming down to the end. So, or no drain holes. So I literally could not reach a drain hole from the end, which meant I was forced to get up on the side, which I can't do.
Which we've discussed is a way better way to do it.
It's not, because I can't do it. I keep trying, Aaron.
Then run your bow to stern.
Yes. That's my point, is I feel like I wish there was a manufacturer of gear or boats that was like, they had a a research and development side instead of a marketing and sales side. And they were thinking about these things that we wanted and needed. And they had like a system like, oh, our boat, buy this thing. It's going to be the perfect bow to stern line with a triangle.
It's got holes in there to set up. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, I just feel like you start putting too many, you love D-rings. You want D-rings all over your raft, Zach. I don't.
So I don't want more D-rings. I just want to be thoughtful. I want there to be.
So that's what's going to end up. They're going to put a D-ring on the bottom for your flip line, so you can put your triangle flip line.
Even having drain holes there, if you don't need them, because you need something to tie your triangle through. That's my issue. Like this stuff should be thought about in boat design.
But you can cut new holes in your floor in there, like Steve Welch used to do.
Who does that?
No,
I wouldn't.
Steve Welch did that.
Never.
He did on all of our Avons back in the day. He'd cut extra holes for rigging down to the floor. Yeah. And then he put a piece of webbing through them. It was great. And that's actually what we'd run the triangle with on those Avons. Yeah.
Okay.
That's a really bum 3 to 1.
The rescue rope with the rescue ring. Huh. It's interesting. So you're basically doing a trucker's hitch.
Yeah.
I'm guessing a trucker's hitch to the rescue ring.
Yeah.
Do a show on this bow to stern line and triangle thingy bobber. That's what we're doing right now. We're doing a show on it.
Yeah. I think he wants to see visual, and I need to get some photos of it.
Get on it.
Yeah.
This show is at least adequate. I'd say, it's mediocre. No, hey, Sean, Aaron started the last show eating a sandwich. Like he was eating a sandwich as it started.
Okay, hold on. I was not eating
a
sandwich. You know why? I know that because we don't have bread in this house.
Whatever.
Yes.
Anyway, we haven't finished yet. We'll mess this up for sure, Sean. But thank you for saying that.
Yeah, appreciate it. That's really
So
kind words.
Now that we're done with this rant, and
let's get back to best practices.
So I have some written down that I want to talk to you about, and I've made a few calls this week and talk to people who I think are like experts in the field, just to get because we're teaching a lot right now, and I want to make sure our teaching is aligned with other people's teaching. And so I've been putting some calls out to people who are influencers and intelligent to get their thoughts on some different things to make sure we're aligned, and we're not as aligned as I thought. And I also think my ideas are correct. So that's where I'm like, do I change them to think ideas?
Well, Zach, I think your ideas are correct in general. I always agree with you. You know that. So let's hear what these guys have.
Well, so the first one is always going to shore when you need to flip a boat, like not flipping boats mid current. And the idea is
will say to never go to shore when you flip a boat.
They don't say never. No, this isn't a never always. This is in general. When a boat flips, you should prioritize getting everybody out of the water as fast as you can, which means on the boat, and then getting that boat to shore to do the flip on shore.
I agree with prioritizing getting people out of the water as quickly as possible. I will say, are these people talking about multi-day trips?
Just in general.
Well, because I think there's a big difference in a gear boat. If I'm 18-foot Grand Canyon gearboat and I flip it over, just get the people on top of it, because I'm not flipping it in the current. That's just not happening there. So 18-foot gearboat,
unless you have 10 people to do it. You talked about that before. You may,
but then even that point, I'd say we could get all the people out of the water at that point. They should be people hanging out by the rafts in the water while you're doing that, right? That's kind of my point with that. It's get the people out of the water. 18-foot gearboat, get the people out of the water.
Cool.
14-foot paddle boat, 14-foot or paddle, where I can hop back up, flip it back over in less than a minute and start pulling people to a right side up boat. Most places, I feel like in general, the best idea is to do that. Now, tell me, Zach, are you going to keep floating downstream on Cherry Creek with your boat upside down, trying to flip it back over while you're having people swim? No, you're probably going to pull it to shore and flip it there, because you don't want to keep going if you can get it to shore. So I think there's high volume is a different game than low volume. First of all, technical. Low volume technical, getting to shore in a lot of ways makes sense. Or in pool drop.
I think it's not high volume versus technical. It's continuous versus not continuous. Because on the continuous river, you may not be able to get it to shore, but also you may not want to flip either. You want to get people out quickly. There's high volume, low volume. There's continuous. There's pool drop. There's gear boats and there's paddle boats. And so when I heard somebody say, "Oh, you should pretty much, generally get people on an upside down boat and then paddle it to shore and then deal with it," I was like, "That's interesting."
Let's run through a couple of scenarios.
Okay.
Okay. South Fork of the American. somehow you flip in Satan's cesspool.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, even better. You
no,
flip
there's a rapid
trouble.
right after. There's a rapid right after Satan's.
There's a pool and then there's a rapid. You flip in Satan's cesspool.
Mm-hmm.
You got people around your boat. You're on top of it. Do you try to flip it over right there, or do you pull everyone on top to right down?
I pull them up and we run that rapid upside down.
Okay.
Because I know after that I have time.
Yeah. Okay, let's say you flip at the bottom of what's the oh man, high water on the Tuolumne, Phil's Folly. You flip at the bottom of Phil's Folly to high water. You're on top, and your guests are next. People are around your boat. The bottom there. What do you do there? Your paddle boat or paddle combo.
Man, and because after Phil's Folly, there's not much for a while. What's the flow?
But there's like 10 grand.
You can't get to shore, can you?
I mean, it'd be really hard, right?
Well, say this is so my argument here. So my claim on this topic, actually, when I think about it, is the key to this isn't what you do; it's that you are properly supported by other boaters, right? Because if you flip in Phil's Folly and there's 3 other boats there that have proper boat spacing and boat order, they can handle the swimmers, pull the swimmers into their boat while you get on your boat, reflip it, get back in, and then row up and grab your swimmers. So my solution depends on boating with other people who are on your team. Well, but if you flip in Phil's Folly at 10,000 without a team,
it's a mess. Okay, but then at 1,000 CFS, you flip at the bottom of Phil's Folly. What do you do?
Pull to shore.
Pull to shore. I feel like it's more of a high volume thing where you can't really recover that quickly. Is when you'd want to flip it in the current. I mean,
but think of like
I'm gonna say
class 5 flat water class 5. So like in the class 5 you flip. If you have time to reflip them and gather them together, you may not, you don't want to accidentally run the class 5 upside down. Like let's say there's a rapid where you're like, man, I cannot run this next rapid upside down. Then I think you try to reflip and collect them. But this is also, I don't. So are you saying generally get to shore?
I'm going to say almost every time I've flipped the boat back over in the current and just got back in. But a lot of them have been high water Tuolumne. Like I'd say,
I feel like I was with you when you flipped in a high water, like 10,000 Phil's Folly. I feel like we had this experience.
Well,
you thinking about one?
Well, you weren't. I don't think you were there that day. That was like that group, Fea's group of students from Sacred Heart.
I feel like I saw you flip at Phil's Folly high water once.
No, I don't think so. Because I was Phil's. It was with Fea, and then it was in a Ceramac boat where I was trying to over into the wave at the bottom, and it didn't work. It was a trainer. Actually, Noah Brewis was in my boat that day, and she was very mad at me. She's like, "Why didn't you try to avoid it?" And I was like, "Oh, I thought it'd be cool to see if we could over to keep the boat," and it didn't work. It was a bad idea. But I mean, they were all kind of a little like, "What were you doing?" The high water on the Tuolumne have always just flipped it in the current. Foo flipped it in the current. Illinois flipped it in the current.
But is that out of kind of laziness? Because you have a team? Like, if you have a team, you can flip in the current, right? I think you have to have the team who's there. On the Foo when you flip, like you have safety cats, they're like, boom, we got your swimmers. Then you can flip it and deal with it. But when you flip and you have to deal with your swimmers, that's where I think is the issue, where you don't have the team.
But if you're upside down and you have to deal with your swimmers, what are you going to do with them? Like if they're all holding onto the boat, great. But if they're not holding onto the boat, you got to flip the boat back over to go get them anyways.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I feel like usually there's like one person who's left holding onto the boat.
So, I mean, if we think about best practice for flipping, I'm going to claim it's sort of a judgment call you make in the time. I'm going to claim like there's not a wrong or right answer. I mean, there's maybe for every situation, but not like what you do every time. I'm going to claim it's all about proper like team boating, boat spacing, boat order, setting safety. If you need to have throw bags at the bottom of big rapids where you might flip. So I'd say it's about the safety situation you set up. And then every time you have to make a judgment call based on where it's going, right? Can you get to shore? Is there rapid coming up? Are people going to get cold? If it's 5 miles of flat water, well, you can do it in the current. So I'm going to claim that there's not like an easy answer to this. I'm
going to say in general, I think you're better off flipping over in the current. Like, I think when you if you hop up on top of your boat and you're looking around, you're like, okay, yeah, I can get this over and get back in it before the next rapid or something. That's your best option. Because then you're then you're actually pulling people in the right side up boat, and you're just much more useful. While the other way, you got to rely on your team to rescue you, because you're just like, oh, we got 10 people on top of our we got 5 people on top of our upside down boat. Help us.
All right, we beat this one to death.
Yeah.
Let's move on to throw bags. What
before we move on to throw bags, I want to go back to, we talked about the flip line along the bottom, and I think that's a best practice at high water. And I think the perimeter line at high water is a best practice as well. We just kind of to finish that up. So
cool.
Yeah, thanks. Move on to throw bags.
Throw bags. So my new thing on throw bags is you should form a personal relationship with a throw bag. You shouldn't just like, when you're buying your raft, get the little flip line bags and just click NRS Pro Rescue. Because just because it says Pro and Rescue doesn't mean it's Pro and Rescue. That's just marketing on the side of the throw bags. So like trying different throw bags out and finding one that you fall in love with and you work well with. What do you think, Aaron?
I see advantages and disadvantages to that. I see the advantages. Yeah, you're really good with your throw bag. The disadvantage is if you don't have your throw bag,
you're bad with a different throw bag. Yeah, I mean, I think
so. Like in some ways, I like. In some ways, depending on like an outfitter to have all the same throw bags, and we've all been practicing with these. So no matter whose boat I grab a throw bag out of, or where I am, or you walk down to your throw bag and say, "Hey, I got to go do this. Can you use the throw bag?" Sure, got it. So
yeah, but Aaron, realistically, are you training with every company you work for? Are you training with their throw bags? Like, I'm going to show up for a Canadian trip. I'm going to practice with those throw bags. I'm going to show up for a tournament trip. I'm going to go practice with those throw bags.
No, but
shouldn't you have your own?
Most people don't work for as many different outfitters as I work for. Your crew works mostly with you all summer, right?
Yeah, but
yeah,
I'm not talking about just guys. I'm talking about private boaters too. Like, I feel like, I think what I see is a lot of people who just buy the throw bag that's the easiest to get and never try different ones out. And I think there's some really good throw bags out there. And I'm starting to be of the opinion that like waist belt throw bags are super important, that you have them with you all the time. And I'm not going to call that best practices, but I think either having a waist belt throw bag or a throw bag you grab out of your boat often, it's like a habit. And you like getting it, which means it's like has a nice clip-on, clip-out system, right? Like throw bag, you're adept with grabbing, right? And I think everybody.
Okay. Hold on.
Yeah.
Are you going to wear a waist throw bag when you're on a Grand Canyon trip?
No.
Are you going to wear one? Are you going to wear one on the road?
Maybe. That's what I'm getting to. I'm starting to think like.
How about the main salmon?
No, but I'll have one that I know and love near me.
Okay.
Right. Like
I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah. Like a low water middle fork of the salmon deadhead, like the boundary to Indian.
Yes.
I won't wear one there probably, but I'll have like mine right there.
Really?
Yeah. Maybe I will. I don't know.
The low water deadhead sounds like the time you do want it, because people are always getting like weird spots and you're pushing people around. And okay.
But most of the things I save on the middle fork don't require rope. It's not rope, especially low water.
I'm going to say this. I think your idea about having a throw bag is a good one. I think way more important than that is practicing throw bagging in general.
Okay, but Aaron, here's the thing. Here's what I've come to. This is the realization I've come to. We can talk about practicing throw. You can say, we all say practice with throw bag. Nobody does it. And when I say nobody, I mean almost nobody. It's just a thing. It's a thing that's easy to say, like practice your throw bags. But everybody watching, all 27 of you, maybe one of you has practiced recently, right? It's just not a thing that we do no matter how many times we say it. But I feel like if you have your own throw bag, like it means you've tried some different ones out and you have one that you like, and you might be more encouraged to like practice it because you're good with it. I feel like if you're not good with a throw bag, you're not going to practice because it's like doesn't feel good. Whereas if you have a throw bag you like and you're ninja with, it's fun to once in a while throw it and rethrow it. And a bag that you're proud of. If you have a little NRS Rescue Pro that's just like a floppy little bag that you're just like, that's another NRS bag, you're not proud of it. But if you have one of those new Kokotap bags, you're like, that's my bag. I'm gonna like be proud of it.
Whoa, I'm proud of my NRS Pro bag, man. I love that thing. That thing, I can do anything with that. I can pull rafts off. It works for everything. And let's be honest, how often I'm actually throw bagging someone? Usually I'm using it to pull a raft off. So I'd rather have a throw bag that's strong that I can whale on and use for
well,
3 to 1.
That's coming. Just ordered the gas. Yeah, we've been using the gas bar one a bunch, and I'm pretty stoked on it. Waist throw bag is best practice. I'm starting to, I feel like it's sort of like wearing a PFD. Like, do I really want to wear a PFD? And I'm starting to feel like if you present yourself as a professional, of course you want to wear a PFD. But you know what I'm saying? Like maybe 30 years ago, people were like, really? Are we all going to wear PFDs? They had the same conversation about PFDs. Now, of course you do. I feel like waist belt throw bags, if we're going to present ourselves as professionals, whether we're river guides for a company or whether we're private boaters who are going out saying, hey, I am somebody who I want you guys to look to as an expert. It's maybe something that the more experienced private boaters should consider doing.
All right. So great. What rivers would you want to see all your guides wearing a waist throw bag? What trips?
Illinois, Cherry Creek, I think Lower T. I think I'm there. Lower T. More. I don't want to put a name on it because I'm still wrapping my brain around this. Like the reason this is a topic is because I understand it's should be a best practice, but I'm not 100% sold either. I'm like, do I really want to wear it all the time? But I'm starting to get in the habit. And so I'm gonna answer Barry's question first. Why not have one? I'm gonna tell you the honest answer. For me, like I have a little bit of a belly, right? And when I wear a waist belt throw bag and I bend over and row it, it's like always up against my little belly, and I like makes me insecure. So like I don't feel like if I had a 10-pack abs, I'd probably be like no problem, right? But I don't enjoy wearing it around my waist. It's not something that like makes me feel good, right? Where I know I probably should get over that. And I need to find a bag that like helps me with my insecurity.
Okay, hold on. Okay, Mr. Insecure throw bag wearer. I think the waist throw bag makes sense to me when you're scouting a lot and you're out of your boats a lot.
Uh-huh.
If you're not out of your boat a bunch, like Cherry Creek, you're never out of your raft. There's no point in wearing a waist throw bag in Cherry Creek until you get down to the portage at Lumsden, which what are you gonna do at Lumsden with a throw bag on your waist for something? Where are you gonna save someone there?
I mean, so Aaron, let's go back a sec. When you're running Cherry Creek with like the A team, right? And you're just like crushing out Cherry Creek trips, and you guys are like, we're the best. I get your point, right? But when you and I were doing trips up there just to train, we weren't crushing out laps and like perfect. We were still learning. We were setting up safety.
Yeah,
we were
totally. And that's
I was lining Toadstool because I just don't like that move with Toadstool. So I'd line the entrance on the right and run the kayak drop. So like I feel like if you're with your team and you guys are crushing out laps, like cool, like don't wear it. But when you're like not like you don't have a solution for everything, you should wear it. But I also want to make a point here. People look up the Cherry Creek guides. And so by you not wearing them as Cherry Creek guides, you're sending a message to everybody you see that says, oh, these aren't useful.
Yeah, and I'm not wearing a dry suit, but that doesn't mean it's not useful. It just means it's not the right thing for that job.
Yeah, but I think there's like an example.
No, but that's why I'm bringing up the way I am, Zach, is I agree. If I was going to do that run for the first time and I knew I was going to get out a lot, I'd be much more inclined to wear a waist throw bag. But I'm going to also say the more stuff I have, my feeling, the more stuff I have on me. And that's one of the things that we really focus on up there is being agile, nimble, and athletic.
But Aaron, this is where I wish I had the bags with me right now, but this is where you have a relationship with the bag that you like. There are some really small, light ones that are pretty nice.
I hate the waist throw bag when I'm paddle boating because when I try to slide down the bottom of the boat and hunker down, it always catches. I slide down and I stop. I'm like, I'm stuck up here.
Aaron, be a man and sit up on the tube like the rest of us.
No,
don't hide in the back.
I want to hide down at the bottom.
All right, whatever. Chad says he plays bag golf at Camp Multi Days. It is fun. I have to say, I've seen a lot of people who play bag golf on multi days or do like throw bag practice on shore, and then go in the real world and can't do it. Or go put some people in the river and practice. I think there's no substitute for bag and people moving at speed. There's just not just like floating liquid easy, but moving at a nice speed. There's no substitute for that. I don't know. Crash animation. Thank you. Around the gap. Oh man, I wish I could have been there. It's cool. Yeah, I know Trevor has been running the gap. He ran the gap. Maybe he did with Trevor, but he's into those gas bar bags. But there's the gas bars bags. Super Guide's making bags again. The new Cocotat bag we've been throwing a bunch. I feel like there's maybe some quality issues with it, but it's really nice to throw. There's a company, H2O Dreams, which has some cool bags, and Soul Gear, I found out, has some cool bags. So there's a bunch of people making good bags out there. They're all expensive, but like it's a throwback. It's a valuable tool. I know you don't think so, Aaron, but whatever.
I think the throwback is a very valuable tool, Zach.
Wait, hold on, Peter. In your picture there, I see somebody wearing not a helmet. Do you see that, Aaron? Like there's somebody, like a passenger. It looks like he's even wearing a baseball cap. You're on mute, Aaron.
I said I'm pretty sure that's Peter's wife remember when we watched the video of him swimming her?
Yeah, I think none of them are wearing helmets.
Looks like Peter is. Maybe isn't.
I think that's a baseball cap.
Maybe, yeah, that makes sense.
Anyway, the PFT Manufacturing Corporate, they've tried that. There's some, like Astral has like a small one.
Well, I like the one on the front, actually, but I like the throwback on the front better than on the back.
It's harder to get back in the boat. I don't know. I think the future, I bet you 10 years from now, we'll
helmet. Rig it on your helmet. Have it on top of your helmet. Pull off your helmet and go.
The smaller aerosols are comfy, and I'm chummy as fuck. All right. Yeah, cool. There you go.
Thanks, Barry. There you go, Zach.
So anyway, I'm starting to feel like in terms of best practices, and I want to be very clear here. My mind is all about like boaters, not commercial, not private, boaters. Right? I think Aaron's mind sometimes goes to commercial guides and what he does in Cherry Creek. You can make that face all you want, Aaron. But I think sometimes Aaron's really focused on what we do on Cherry Creek or what do we do in the canyon. But I feel like these are best practices for all boaters. And I believe that we should all, my best practice I'm going to claim is we should all have a throw bag that we like, we're practiced with, and we have a relationship with. And I feel like if it's not a waist belt, it needs to be something that's quickly deployable, that you know where it is, and you can quickly deploy it.
Zach, I want to clarify something here. When I talk about these things, I think sometimes people look to commercial guides like, oh, well, the way they do it is the way I should do it. Mm-hmm. And that's my point of this is like not necessarily so. There's reasons why they're doing it the way they're doing it. And sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad. Just because they're commercial guides doesn't mean they're better, but also understands a different situation. And I think that's a key thing to look at when we're discussing this stuff. And that's why I bring it up more for that fact. It's like, no, this is the right way to do it. It's like, okay, they don't do it here, and there's a reason they don't. And so to consider that. And like, I will say I'm a big fan of the hip throw bags. And I had a friend, like, this was like a long time ago. Maurice Sears' dad, I was paddling with him.
Hold on, when you say hip throw bags, you mean waist belt throw bags?
Waist throw bags, yeah, whatever. Waist throw bags. Anyways, we're paddling with Marie's dad a long time ago, probably like 15 years ago. And I was like, oh, you carry that, and he was wearing one back then. He's like, yeah, I find that if I wear it, I actually use it. And I think that's a really good point. And so, and ever since I thought about it, he's like, yeah, I've never used one before I started wearing it because I never had it when I needed it. Now that I wear it, I find I have it and I use it. And
I tell you, that's how I feel right now about flip lines. Like when I had my green jacket, my flip line was my back corner. I just never got to it. But now that it's more accessible, I'm using it a lot for other things. And same thing with having a pulley. I've actually used it more having it accessible. But yeah, I know you're going to disagree with me, so I'm not going to get into this.
Carrying pulleys on you, jeez.
800 CFS in a raft is a little low, but
that's great. That's a great flow, yeah.
It's a little low, but it's probably super fun.
Well, for you, maybe, Zach, because you like it big and chunky. 800 is beautiful. That's like a prime flow.
I mean, they got to go. Yeah, okay. I don't think I've done. I've never R2'd it, but I bet it's super fun on R2. But you got to do it.
Wait, you did it at the time when it was like 3,500. Were you on that trip where Dougie lost the raft?
Nope, I wasn't there.
You weren't there for that one?
I heard all about it. I've never done it over like 1,800. I'm nervous about that place at high water. I've just chosen not to go because you're so committed to that canyon. My couple. What's that big rapid where everybody struggles? Locomotive. Do you know the trip where Dougie swam it while he was scouting? Did you hear about this? He swam it while he was scouting. He fell down the rock, swam it, walked back up to kayak it, and swam it again. He swam it twice in the same day. Do you know about this?
No.
Oh, and then another time I was there with this guy, Larry, who used to live in a van up at Cherry Creek. I don't remember that guy. Remember that guy?
Oh, yeah. Larry. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I ran it with him, and he knew the lines really well, but he wasn't a big walker. And so 3 of us stopped to scout, and he headed out, and he didn't scout. We watched him run it, and he got beat down. I have like 8 photos of him getting beat down every possible way and swam. And so we all ran up and ran it. And then we caught up with him. His kayak was just gone. And I gave him my boat, and I continued to walk downstream. But I got, I was like, my friend Tim, different Tim, you don't know him. We call him Junior. He paddled ahead, got the boat pretty far, and then I had to basically canyoneer down to the to where they were. It was crazy. Anyway, yeah, no, Barry's a badass. That guy can do anything. I haven't seen Barry. We should review Barry's video about Giant Gap. You're still on mute, Aaron. You gotta stop doing that.
I know I'm on mute because I got someone blowing.
Oh, got it.
Leaves out here.
And we don't need to talk about Giant Gap anymore. I'm gonna go through these really quick because we got to finish the show. So we talked about throwbacks a little bit. Practice. We can say practice, but people aren't gonna do it. Whatever. You should practice. Boat anchors. So Aaron, if somebody's gonna send a rope to your boat when you're wrapped, how are you gonna attach that rope to your boat?
Attach that specific rope, or
hold on, let me think.
Are
Sean,
you talking about?
I think at low water, locomotive isn't as bad.
Yeah, low water locomotive is really mellow.
When you go back to high water, it's a beast. I'm sorry. So if somebody's gonna pull a haul line on your raft, how are you gonna attach that haul line to your raft?
Are we talking about if I don't have my flip line?
Whatever you choose. What technique are you going to use as Aaron?
Oh, come on, Zach? What technique am I going to use? You can answer this for me.
I know. I think
just say it. I want to hear you say it.
You're going to use your flip line to create a 2-point self-equalizing.
No.
Oh, you're tied around a tube. Oh, geez.
Yeah, come on. Okay. Yeah, come on. I go around the tube with my flip line.
Oh,
yes.
Okay. Let's say you can't do that. What do you do next? Okay, you use your flip line, put your flip line around the tube, and then tie the how. Okay, cool. I'm with you 100%.
Okay.
We should have done that in that scenario. That would have been pretty cool. That when we wrapped that boat last week. But let's say you can't do that for some reason. What's the next technique?
You've already tried deflating tubes?
No, I'm literally asking you, how do you attach a rope to your raft? Okay, hold on. So let me just speak for you because you can't understand what I'm saying. Again, everybody apologize for how mediocre the show has gotten. There's a couple ways you can potentially attach a rope to a raft, and you should not just attach it to one D-ring. You're with me there, right? You're on mute, so
yes, I am nodding yes.
Do not just clip it onto the D-ring. You can either wrap something around the tube and tie it to that, which is an adequate solution, or you can typically we'll do a 2 or 3 point anchor with some webbing. That's standard, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, what I'm finding some people are teaching is that you don't do that. Instead, you take a throw bag and you tie that anchor that uses the butterfly and the figure 8 on a bite with a throw bag. That's the primary solution.
Yeah, as a 2-to-1 or a
2-point anchor.
A 2-point anchor, yeah. What's wrong with that?
It works. I think it's complicated. But I feel like webbing is way better than using a throw bag. Because you have webbing in your PFD and a throw bag. If it's waist belt, you're good. But let's say you wrap and your throw bag's way down there. Maybe you have your throw bag. Why would you do the whole throw bag mess with the butterfly and the figure 8 thing when you could just do a 2-point anchor with webbing?
I think I would teach the throw bag because a lot of times the D-rings are so far apart because the piece of webbing isn't long enough. And so the angle is too big, so you're increasing the forces rather than reducing the forces for each one. And so I think with a throw bag, you've got more to work with there. So I think there's that advantage. And I mean, if you can do it with a throw bag, you should be able to do it with the piece of webbing.
Cool. Hey, this is new to me. That's why I'm asking you. So you like the idea of teaching how to do an anchor with a throw bag?
Isn't that how we did it? That's how we did an IRF course.
I mean, yeah, but it was more like a fun party trick. It was more like, hey, here's how, the IRF course, it's a bunch of, I think of it as a bunch of games. How can you do this thing as fast as possible? It's like a game, right? It's a contest. And
really? Because I took that way, like, this is awesome. I now know how to do a self-equalizing system if I don't have an extra line. And someone throws me a throw bag, I can do a self-equalizing system.
Yeah, but here's the thing. So I've used this before in the field. So I've loved it. Like when we didn't have, like we had to use this one time, like I think it was on a Kern a long time ago. I've actually done this system where we used the haul line to do it. We sent the haul line over, and then just put the haul line. If those of you don't know what we're talking about, quickly, what you do is you tie a butterfly like 15 feet from the end of your rope, and a butterfly or a directional figure eight. You loop the rope through the 2 D-rings. You create a figure eight on a bite. You clip that onto the butterfly, and then you pull the rope between the D-rings up to the D-ring, and you have a 2-point self-equalizing load distributing anchor with your rope. It's pretty cool, right? I think it's easy to do on land. It's harder to tie this when you're on the wrapped boat because everything's backwards and weird. And I've used it before and it works great. And for IRF, it's faster because you just take the rope, you tie the knots, you're like, boom, done, tie it to a tree. You know, you can set a world record for setting a 3-to-1. But for practicality, would you teach? Let's say, would you use the throw bag to make the anchor, even if another line is coming over? Like, let's say you can use a static line to pull it off. Would you rather use the throw bag as the anchor or the webbing? Why the webbing over the throw bag?
Because I just go around the tube, but you won't like that answer.
Okay.
No, but in all seriousness, though, no, I think it's nice to have your anchor set up before the rope gets over there. It's helpful.
But you can do that with the throw bag.
Yeah, and the second part is the throw bag is so long. It's way too much line. 75 feet of rope. What? Like, that's just a mess.
Because so you're saying it's just a lot of stuff and like
it's sloppy. Things can get wrapped around something. It's gonna go down. You know, it's gonna get stuck in. It's gonna float out of the boat, go get stuck into a rock someplace, and you pull the boat off, and that thing's stuck, and it's underwater. You can't reach it. It's just like, you know, it's just not best practices. So I think best practices.
Well, that's what I'm asking. Maybe
if you're gonna do a self-equalizing system, best practices is to use your flip line. And if you're doing the throw bag scene, in my mind, while you're doing this, because you're going to throw the other end of that bag to shore or whatever, and they're just going to pull off a bit. Yeah.
But then going back to which throw bag you have, this is where it gets personal because maybe you are bad at throwing throw bags. So you have like a 1/4-inch wimpy line, right? That's just for tagging things and like small things. You can't haul on that. So
you can if you get a Spectra one. The Spectra ones,
but try pulling on it, Aaron. Like tie that to a tree.
Yeah.
Like it has this. Right. The issue with everybody gets all fired up about the strength. It's not about the strength. It's about the grabbability and the elongation.
I forget how soft and tender your hands are, and you just really have problems pulling on stuff. You get like blisters really fast.
Everybody does. So no, that wrap we had last week, it was a regular throw bag tied to a 1/4-inch throw bag. So 5 people were pulling on 1/4-inch. And they were all like, wow, this really is a bummer. It was a good reminder how hard it is to pull on 1/4-inch rope.
That's a good point.
but I think if you're going to have 1/4-inch rope, it's more throwable, but you're losing any ability to use it in something like this. Whereas if you are somebody who's, you know, has big, broad shoulders and can throw like a full-on 3/8 or 5/16 Spectra rope, you can be a hero with a throw bag and have not an awesome haul line because nothing's going to be like you know, whatever it is, like 9/16 rope, right? Nothing's going to be like a real haul line, but it's an adequate haul line that you could do the loop-de-doo thing with. Anyway, let's move on because we're wasting time. So I also think that using webbing for the 2-point anchor is best practices, but are you is it something we should rethink? Maybe the best practices is use a throw bag. I know your whole claim about the rope everywhere, but something I'm thinking about.
Why would you say the throw bag's best practices?
Because somebody who I really respect told me that.
Why did they say it was good?
Because you always do a throwback.
Really? Because you're wearing it on your waist.
Yeah, or you always have it. So you can always tie
wait. What do you mean you always have it? Does he mean you're always carrying it?
Those are the words.
Does he carry one on his waist all the time?
Yeah, this person does, I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think that works for that person because they're carrying the waist throw bag all the time. But I think a lot of people would hear that and think, oh, I've got to throw bag my boat all the time, which I can use, which if you wrap, you're not going to reach your throw bag if it's clipping the boat.
You just can't guarantee to do it. Usually it's right there.
When you and Doug wrapped, could you got to the throw bag?
When did me and Doug wrap? You're thinking of somebody else.
Gunsight.
Where's that?
Oh, not Gunsight Rock. Pelican Rock. Sorry, Pelican.
Oh, that wrap. Danger Mouse. I think it's talking about Dougie Fresh.
Yeah. No.
I don't know. Probably. I mean, because even when it's underwater, you can reach underwater. Like you can usually stand in the boat and get.
Oh, yeah. But anyways, my point being is like, okay, and then what's he use to flip his boat back over? He uses his throw bag to flip his boat back over?
No, so this is the thing is he also says you should have a flip line. So that's where I'm like, why not just use the flip line for that? And the problem you have is like, the problem is a lot of D-rings are spaced too far apart. So if you look at a lot of boats, their D-rings are like 7 feet apart, like something ridiculous, right? I just saw a boat that had no handles, 0 handles, right? And D-rings are really far apart. So you have to have a flip line that can handle that too, which is you don't always have maybe. Or maybe you do, maybe you just
and I think I'd say best practice is to know how to do it with both. But I'm gonna go back to Zach. That's why you go around the tube. It's way simpler. Like go around the tube with your flip line. You're done. And I know you're not. I know you don't want that answer.
No, I'm a believer. No, you have me sold on this. I'm just giving you flack, but like I know it's not going to work 100% of the time, but I'm a believer. I'm sold.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Okay. We just did it. I did it last year. I showed you. We did a video about it. I'm sold on it.
Yeah, I thought you were making fun of me.
I think. Yeah, I want to make fun of you, but like I think that can't be your only technique. You can't depend on just that.
Yeah.
So you have to have some other technique. Set up an anchor on your boat so you can just clip when the rope comes. The rope's already there quickly. Maybe use the rope trick. Yeah, I mean, I think the idea, Sean, that I was being told is you have a throw bag, you make that anchor, and then when the rope comes, you would tie to that anchor that's made with a throw bag. And so what I know how to do is somebody sends you the rope and use that rope to feed it through to make this anchor. The claim here is make it on the raft, and then when the rope comes, attach to it.
Zach, how do you do that when they send you the rope? Do you feed the throw bag through the D-rings?
You cut the rope off. I don't know. That's a problem, right?
Yeah. That's a problem with that system. It's like I was trying to figure out. I was like, how does that, like I know when you throw the throw back to shore, it makes sense. If they throw if they get you a long line, the long line makes sense because you can put the long line through.
When I've done it was with a long line. Yeah. It was like
but the throwback through. You would basically have to throw the throwback back to them. I feel like you need to take the whole throwback over there, run it through, and throw the throwback back to them.
I think in practicality that with this, it's all about what's really going to happen in the real world is that you're going to get the static line and run the static line through and make that anchor with the static line.
That's hard though. The static line is really some static lines are really like rigid. And they don't tie knots well. They don't bend well.
So. Just get a good one. Wait, so Peter, you usually I don't wear helmets in class 3, but you wrote helmets always. So I'm confused. So now, but I now get it. Almost always. So this is where we're trying to avoid never and always. Right. So helmets. What's the right word here? Helmets most of the time. Helmets. What's the word for always? Helmets almost always. All right, let's move down. 3-to-1s. Okay, so here's 3-to-1s versus vector poles. Which one are you into?
You know what my comment's going to be. Tell me a time a vector pole's pulled a boat off.
That's right.
Somebody tell me. I'm waiting.
So I made that point. So I said I made that point, and the point back was tell me how many wraps you've seen. My answer was like 30 or 40.
75, yeah.
Yeah, and Aaron, you've seen a lot more. So like in all those examples, it's a lot of pulling with a rope, some 3-to-1s, but a lot of it's get a rope on a pole. I want to see a vector pole work in the field.
And I'm going to say this. I want an engineer to tell me it's going to work.
From a theoretical, it's going to work.
No, it's not though, because you immediately lose all that force as soon as you start breaking. It's infinite force initially, and then as soon as you start to get an angle, you lose you lose all that power.
Yeah, so you're not going to get infinite force. Here's my take as I've been thinking about this. If you can keep it tight, you can get a lot of force out of it, right? You got to keep tightening it. So you need like a Munter hitch or a 3-to-1 there with a progress capture, or just a progress capture. Just do a progress capture. If you keep it tight, you get a lot of force on it. My thing is like, I think the reason people go with vector pulls is because they're worried about 3-to-1s. Jeez. I'm not getting into this.
What do you mean? Get into what? Which? Are you looking at the comments?
Yeah. Sorry. So let me finish my thing. What was I talking about now? Because I have a frame of mind.
3-to-1s versus vector pulls.
Yeah. So the vector pull, like, you don't know the forces sometimes. Whereas the 3-to-1, you generally know what's going on. Like once you start vector pulling, you can do things you're not like that are very, very large.
Well, and the other problem with the vector pull is for it to be effective, you need to be towards the middle of the rope. Like the farther you are towards one end, the less effective it is. If you're right next to one of the carabiners, if the rope is like 100 feet long and you're 1 foot off of it, you vector pull from there, it's not going to do anything. You got to get it way out there in the middle.
Yeah. And
that's another problem with the vector pull. And then with the vector pull, I mean, are you going to vector pull upstream?
It depends on the situation.
Yeah.
So anyway, I knew this was going to go there. Let's stop talking about this and move on. Rescue vests. We've talked about this before. For river guides, do you think they need the little safety harness things you pull?
No.
Okay, cool. And then rescue gear. What do you feel like is an adequate set of rescue gear?
For a trip or per person, what are we talking?
2 per person and 2 per trip.
Per person, I think, well, first of all, it depends on the river you're on. Like Grand Canyon, I don't care if you have 2 pulleys on you. If you're on you're going to do Giant Gap, I want you to have like each boat to have 2 pulleys, Prussics, and a line that we can put mechanical advantage to.
Why not 3 pulleys? Because don't you want the
redirect? Yeah, 3. You're right, 3. Okay. 3. Yeah, 3.
But you're a 3 pulley person now because you like the redirect.
Yeah, I do like the redirect. But you know what? I'm just gonna bring 2 because pretty much I'm never gonna use a pulley. That's my belief.
The average between 3 and 0 is 1.5, which rounds up to 2. So I'll bring 2.
I'm bringing 2 because that's enough. That's the minimum I need to do that if I need to do it.
But you feel like you're not going to deal with it. You're not going to use pulleys anyway. So
I'm not really worried about it.
They're more just to look cool.
No, I'm bringing them just because everyone else wants me to bring them.
So you don't think they're important?
No. I mean, I've used them once or twice. I think it's good to have them on the trip because you never know.
I mean, what if you have to do like a Telford lower system to lower somebody down to deal with a pin person? You need like.
Oh God! Yeah, right. Oh yeah, no problem. Let's get that line across the river, set it up, and I totally. I've been practicing that. I'm good to go with that.
Okay.
That's I think the problem with a lot of stuff is like not practicing. But yeah, the 3 pulleys, I probably would bring 3. I guess I'd probably bring 2 solid ones and 1 little redirect pulley that just changes the.
Oh man, I got these. Hold on. Will I reach this far? I think these things for redirects. Hold on, these little pulley carabiner things. Oh, where does this go? Like that for a redirect is pretty cool. What do you think?
Yeah,
super simple, super light. It's a carabiner and pulley in one. You don't need it to progress capture. It's just gonna like redirect. All right, I know you're like this is dumb. Let's go through. Let's get back to this comment. I think Richard, we've talked about helmets a lot, and it's a funny point. I think we're realizing though, or like we've come to the opinion we've had is that there's not a rash of people hitting rocks on their head. It's the paddles and it's stuff in the boat that hurts you, not stuff outside the boat that hurts you. So the odd, like how violent is the place you're going? If it's really violent, a helmet's good because it's going to save you from a paddle to the head or an oar to the head or whatever. There's not a rash of people hitting their heads on rocks, but whatever. I always got to keep boss blocking and burned. Is that, for helmets?
Yeah. It is nice. Protect your head from the sun. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm starting to wrap my brain. I feel like as an industry, we don't have best practices. We have a bunch of people doing different things and teaching them. I feel like we're diverging more than ever right now. Because as I talk to people, there's more ideas out there. And I feel like I'm doing what I learned in the 90s, and it's worked for me for a long time on a lot of stuff. And Mark Hurst has helped me learn some things. And through these conversations, I've learned some things. But I'm learning things. I'm changing how I do things. But as I talk to more people who are like leaders in the industry, I'm like, there's some things out there where I'm like, I don't know if I agree with that or that. I feel like it'd be nice for us to get together and like talk more about best practice.
But I mean, Zach, let's talk about NFL football for a second here, okay? Which may seem to have nothing to do with it, but like you talk about something that like best practices and like the competitive nature and how full on people are about stuff, right? Like they're after it. Does everyone run the same defense? No. There's a lot of different defenses being used there.
This isn't a competition.
Well, more important than that, but what I'm saying is that's very high level where if something's better, they're going to use it, right? Right. If this is better than this, they're going to use it.
Mm-hmm.
Yet they don't all do it the same. They do it differently. And I think even with all that evolution, you look at a sport like that, like they're doing it differently. And I think that's one thing to look at. It's like, yeah, we're not all going to do the same. But what's really important is our team. We have a way that we're going about it. We have our team defense. Like we have our safety precautions and the way we do it, and it works well together. Yeah. And I think that's that. I mean, I agree with you. It'd be nice to have best practices, but I think how does the company run its trips? What type of guides do they have? What rivers are they running?
See, this, it's the commercial side though. Like there's the private boaters too, who are like,
exactly same thing.
Everything has to merge, right? Like if 5 different private boaters meet, they have to have a similar philosophy. Like one can't be doing this for their thing and one can't be doing that. Like as I go boating with people as a team, like I want to know who, like that everybody has the same basic ideas for training. So when something goes wrong, we follow a similar path.
But I think that's why private boating is dangerous. Like more dangerous in a way. You know, I'm serious about this, is that like you got to find your crew. It's not like you go backcountry skiing with different people every week. Be like, yeah, I'll go with you guys this week. Oh yeah, I'll go with you guys this week. No, you have your team. This is a sport that safety matters, and you need your team. And just like a commercial company, you need your private boater team, and you need to have conversations about what we're doing, how we handle stuff, what we run with. And like if you want to, I think you could put a starting point of best practices list together for people to work off of. That's really helpful. But not everyone's going to do it. And I think they have to have an understanding about how are we approaching it if something happens? What are the expectations within our group? Because everyone's not as athletic and good at climbing on top of upside down boats as we are. So maybe, when they're out running, the rogue and they have a flip, well, this is how they're going to deal with it. And it's not the same as how we would deal with it. And I think that's good.
Yeah. I want, I
know you want standards. And I
want alignment. I want alignment.
Yeah, and I don't think that's going to happen.
Because where I'm caught is we're teaching a bunch of stuff, and we're teaching people a philosophy that we have.
Yeah,
and it really bums me out if we teach them a philosophy and they go take a class from somebody else and they're getting a different philosophy.
That's fine. It's that's like coaching my kids in water. When I used to be a high school coach for water polo, like, yeah, I want you actually to go hear different philosophies. Because mine's not perfect. And this is my philosophy. This is how it works together.
I agree. I just feel bad like they spend money taking a class with us, and then they take their time and money to a class with somebody else, and we're telling them different things. I'd rather have them build on each other than like somewhat contradict and learning. I mean, different that
there's value in that, though, Zach. There's value.
I see the value in that. I agree 100%. But for you and me who are trying to boat a lot, but if you're boating 10 times a year, you want a path to be on. You don't want to go you don't need to learn 8 ways to do the same thing.
Well, and I think that's a good point. It's like if I'm learning Spanish, I'm not going to go to a different Spanish teacher every week, because they're going to have a different method of teaching Spanish. Yeah. No, I'm going to stick with one.
But but like with training, you can't go with just one instructor every week. Like there's we don't teach
one company. You could go,
but we don't teach swiftwater rescue, for example. So like you might learn a philosophy of a rescue with us, and then go take a swiftwater rescue class on somebody and get it like a different philosophy.
Yeah, well, that's interesting.
That's where I'm struggling.
The swiftwater rescue is an interesting point, and I think in some ways, we've done ourselves a disservice by the way we've separated swiftwater rescue from the rest of rafting. because I really think it's part of rafting. It should be part of your instruction. It should be part of your training. It should be part of your schools. It's part of your identity. It's not some separate little component over here. Like we treat it like first aid. And first aid is like, I feel like that's different. That's like, okay, we're not on the river. We're not running the river. We are on shore now, dealing with something totally different. And I feel like the Swiftwater thing in some ways, I think it's been bad in some ways for us, the way we do Swiftwater. I think in some ways it's good is it does provide some common language amongst different companies. And I think that part's really valuable. Like
that's where I'm struggling though, actually, because I felt like there was common language and now I'm finding there's not. Like different people are teaching different things. Like that's why this comes up.
You mean like the vector pole?
No, I mean, everybody's teaching the vector pole and the 3-to-1. It's just how it's applied. So like, it's not that. And I agree with, I'm with that one. The value of rescue vests is one thing. The how you attach a rope to a boat is one that comes up. Do you carry a flip line, or do you have a webbing to do a 2-point anchor, or do you use a throwback to do it? Or like flipping mid current or on shore. You know, there's things where like there's some disagreement here. There's not like, we're not all aligned. That's why I'm asking these questions, to get your thoughts.
Yeah, but I think we're not going to do the same depending on the river we're running and what we're doing. Besides the rescue vest thing, which is just like remember that guy we had on a while back and we talked about rescue vests with him. I'd love to have someone on who can give me a solid reason why I should be wearing a rescue vest. Because I feel like I don't have one. Do you have one? Why I should be wearing a rescue vest?
3 or 4. Okay. Couple reasons. One, it looks cool.
Yeah. Okay.
And another one is that the best vests are all rescue vests. There's like not very many non-rescue vests that are cool.
No.
I'm not saying the actual best. There's best and cool, right? Like I want a vest that looks cool. It's a fashion statement, right? I don't want some like nerdy and resting like you're wearing. I want some like cool looking PFD that has like cool pockets and has cool logos, right? Well, all the cool pockets and logo vests have
okay.
Somebody just drove up. They all have rescue vests. That's why. So they look cool, but they're not better because flotation is important.
So what's the from a non-aesthetic perspective, what's the advantage of having a rescue vest? Why am I telling people they should use rescue vests?
Because once in a while you can tie yourself onto a rope and swim after somebody, or you can get lowered down. You can get lowered down to somebody who's stuck on a tree. Say somebody's stuck in a tree. Don't you want to get lowered down to save their life?
Well, how is that going to work?
Okay, there's a person stuck in a tree, right?
Yeah.
Okay, then somebody ties you to a rope and they lower you down and you grab them.
Have you practiced this?
No.
Have you ever tried it?
Aaron, don't you ever try your friend's life?
No. Zach, here's the question. I think that is stupid. I'll say that is completely stupid. And here's why. I'm not going to run into a burning building when there's a fire, and act like a firefighter because I haven't practiced. I haven't trained to do that, right? And this is something like you're doing that. You're putting yourself above the strainer, relying on people who've never practiced before to be able to pull you back upstream before you die in the strainer. Does that sound like a good idea? No, it sounds terrible.
I think what you're saying is very logical and according to like proper priorities. But I think a lot of people would say, like, what if you want to save your friend?
Well, then if you want to save your friend, if you don't have the rescue vest, you'll probably figure out a way that's actually going to save them and not going to kill you. Because how many people get killed being the rescuer? That's way too common of a problem. And I think the rescue vest.
I'm with you here. I'm totally with you here. I'm agree with you. I'm just giving you what people tell me.
Totally. But that's why I keep coming back to. I don't understand this conversation. This whole rescue vest thing. Like, tell me as someone who got saved by a rescue vest. Okay, this is like the second one. Tell me someone who's pulled a raft off with a vector pole. Tell me someone who's been saved by a rescue vest, not kayaking.
The other thing, Aaron, I hear a lot is like all the people who have used rescue vests to save equipment. Like, oh, we never would have got the rafts unstuck from the place. And for me, I'm like, I don't want to use a rescue vest for equipment retrieval because you are putting yourself in the river attached to a rope. It's like that to me. It's like equipment retrieval. Like I'm cool. Like I don't want to use it then, but they tell me it was really useful the one time we had to get a paddle out of an eddy, and we needed that paddle because if we didn't have it, we never got down the river, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Next, I think teaching people at the whys and wherefores is most important. They make appropriate decisions based on flow team.
Yeah.
What does it mean by
very good point? Definitely.
What does it mean by creating a list of people, creating a list that people can follow without knowing why?
Yeah, your list of just best practices without explaining why this is a best practice. Is like, why are you why are you wearing the waist throw bag?
Oh yeah. So
because when I get out of the book, that way I'll have it available to me.
And so Nick is suggesting that we start working on a list of best practices, but more important than what the list is the explanation of why they should be best practices. And I mean, honestly, that's why we're having this discussion too, right? Like this discussion is sort of like that list in a long, boring format with Aaron getting fired up. This is our best attempt at making that list. You know, we could write a blog and it would be wrong, or we could have this video discussion and it would be still wrong, but closer to correct.
I think that's, Zach, I like your idea of best practices. And I think what would be cool is if everyone put down their best practices. You know, and they said, cool. You know, and then we could compare and you could look at, be like, oh, this is A, B, C, D's best practices, and be like, where do we all line up? Maybe there's some places where we all do. And then it's like,
yeah, I mean, I wish you mean like in the comments.
Oh, that would be cool too. I just meant like these professionals, these Swiftwater rescue organizations. It'd be kind of cool to like have like a
conference.
The conference would be cool too. But a grid too, just of what everyone has. Yeah. Conference would be cool.
Well, anyway, I think this is important to talk about because I think, you know, I learn from these discussions and I feel like I want to move towards more alignment, because the thing I find is I want everybody kind of knowing the same thing, right? Like if somebody only vector pulls and somebody only 3-to-1s, that's a problem because you won't have a team to solve a problem. I'd rather everybody vector pulls or everybody 3-to-1s, because then I can put a team together at a problem.
I just want everyone to do it my way, Zach.
Or ideally everybody does both. That's ideal, but in the real world, in limited training time and practice time, you kind of have to like pick your battles on what you do.
I think, Zach, that's why I go to the solutions I do. The line around the raft. Oh, hey, deflate tubes.
No, you're doing all these things because you're like a contrarian, not a contrarian, but like
no, not at all.
You're in the all out of the box solutions. Like,
no,
hey guys, I'm Aaron Cavignolo. I have all these super brilliant things that are better than everybody else.
They're not better. I learned most of them. I learned pretty much all of them from somebody else.
Okay.
Like everything I talk about is I picked up from somewhere else. But I think the simpler the solution, the better. And people like the fancy dancy, you know, bells and whistles. They like the life jacket with all the cool pockets. Like you said, they want the cool.
They want the gadgets. Well, they want the gadgets like this.
Yeah, exactly.
This is a gadget. This is. God. I mean,
I get nauseous just looking at that.
Hey, I just gotta tell you, I fully admit, I want a cool looking PFD with like cool stuff on it and pockets with like gadgets to save the day. I understand it's a lot of times impractical and maybe dangerous because my PFD is so heavy, but I, as a person, have this weakness, and it is looking badass. I need to look badass.
No,
Aaron does not have this weakness.
Hold on, Zach. I think you shouldn't be called looking cool. It's more in a Inspector Gadget. You want to be like Inspector Gadget.
I don't, because that's not cool. I want to just look like The Rock, you know, in some movie where he's saving the day. You know, the whole military outfit and all the stuff, and I don't, you know, like instead of a gun, I want a grappling hook that I can grapple rafts with. And anyway, Nick, I'm not going to start the wiki, but if you did, I'd be super supportive. PFD business. Ooh, I wouldn't go Armani. No, I'd be more like, I think I'd go Arc'teryx. An Arc'teryx PFD would be cool.
How much does Arc'teryx pay you? Because you are all about them. They better be giving you free swag. Because you've been selling the car lately.
No, I think they make it. I'm a huge fan of quality, like well-made things. They make good stuff. All right, let's watch this video and call this. We've already been going for 2 hours. We have lives. We have stuff to do. But I do want to watch this video that's been on the internet lately and do at least one video review and finish this thing.
I can't believe we've been on. I can't believe some people. Nick's been on pretty much the whole 2 hours. Peter. Yeah.
So
and David too.
Have you watched this yet, Aaron?
No.
So this is rowing. Have you done Westwater?
Never. I
did it once a long time ago. It was me, Jeremy, and Dan, and we gave each other medals. We gave Dan a medal for her heroism because he rowed. and Jeremy and I paddle for him. Anyway, I'm gonna start this one, and I'm gonna tell you my first takeaway right away is the same thing I always think. These oars are too short. His hands are too high when he's rowing a lot. They're pretty, like the angle down to the water is too large. I just feel like longer oars would be a more natural, just more natural for rowing, and would be stronger and more effective.
Yeah, I agree.
I would have shipped there, but
you made it through there nicely.
Made it through, but it's good habit to ship.
Is this a multi-day trip?
We did it in a day, but you can camp in there. So look at that. See that left oar? I'm sorry, this is just killing me. I see this so much. Like that left oar gets so vertical in there. Let me go back again.
Yeah.
Make a little more. Like these, I feel like this. Oh yeah, maybe I went too far back. But when you need your oar to get that vertical, it like that, and then on the left, that's a problem. Like that's, I think problems.
It's getting sucked down too. Though, Zach. I agree with you, but I think also it's getting sucked down.
But it shouldn't get sucked down.
Yeah, he's running locks. It's going to get sucked down. That's going to happen.
Oh,
squirrely current. Oh, nice bat downstream ferry there.
So it's a good downstream ferry. I'm going to claim with longer oars, so he doesn't make it. That's the moral of the story.
Well, right? I think also he needs more space between his pins and his body. His pins need to be farther forward.
Yeah. So when I look at this, I don't see somebody who made a mistake. I see bad equipment. I see incorrect oars. He's rowing and like it's hard to get the strokes with this setup. And I see
did he even have a foot on his box when he was rowing backwards? Oh.
And what's happening? Hold on. What's happening here is they're overlaying it with some super nasty other footage of people struggling at school with different flows. His feet, he could have pulled on the boxes. You're right. But like here, I think he looks like a good rower to me. I just think there's some equipment issues. So here's higher water, I think. Yes, definitely. And there's similar disaster in that same spot.
The boat's having a nice line.
Yeah, they typically do pretty well without people.
Yeah, it's I'm amazed how many times if you just didn't do anything, you would have better lines. Oh,
then they fall out, right? So this is it. And so I'm gonna go back again because I can, because it's a video. So it goes in, boom, right there. Pins and clips, stays in the boat.
Nah, I don't know, Zach. That's pretty vertical.
Oh, come on. If you can
that's really vertical, Zach. That's really vertical.
The boat doesn't flip, right?
Maybe you, because you're such a super, so you say no. A lot of people are going to fall out in that, anyways. That's really vertical.
All right, I'm just.
You're right. He has more of an opportunity.
He still has the oar in his hand when he falls out. Right.
Oh, you're right. He might have. Yeah.
And then look at the left oar lock, right here. It comes undone.
Oh, that's a whole nother ballgame.
So I'm not sure where that happened, but this is one of the weaknesses. Let's see what that happens if we figure out what that happens. Yeah, right there. And so this is a problem with these NRS oar locks, is they're just held on by a U-bolt. And we use these a lot. They're good oar locks, but if you go longer than 8 inches, which I think these are 10s, the lever arm is so large, they really have a hard time staying on. These look like they might be 10s. And so I would never recommend going bigger than 8, right? And then the 10s make them wider, so you need longer oars. So my claim is if you had 8-inch oar locks, right, that his oars wouldn't need to be as long. He might row better. But then
he's got extensions on there.
On the oars?
Yeah, look. There's an extension. There's the basic lock, and he's got an extension going up and out to another one there.
On the oar itself?
No, the
lock.
The lock. He's got an extension on the lock. It looks like.
I don't see that. But anyway, these with these NRS oar locks, when we're using a lot of them, I actually carry a 1/2-inch saw. I have a couple behind me. I mean, I have 2 behind me. I use these so much. I put these in my PFD. I know they have weight, but I have these handy all the time because I'm actually tightening them quite often with a 1/2-inch socket wrench.
Well, I think for those types you need that, and I think if you're running pins and clips, you need a nut driver. You have to have a nut driver in your pocket.
Yeah. You don't have to, or like just handy.
I'm gonna say that's the best practice. Nut driver.
No,
in
it's
your pocket.
not. No, it's
totally.
not.
Oh man, I get so frustrated when guys don't have
Just
it.
make them tight.
They're like, no, because you catch a rock and then they spin. They're like, oh, dude, I need the repair kit.
Aaron, no. Do double hose clamps.
Double hose clamps does help a lot. Agreed.
Yeah. Double hose clamps.
And then have
no nut driver in the pocket.
Small. Go ahead. What?
Don't do the nut driver in the pocket. Just have guides have it handy, because it's going to weigh you down when you swim.
No, like the nut driver weighs so little.
Oh, come on, Aaron. So does all the other stuff you complain about. This doesn't weigh anything.
I will wear a nut driver in my pocket. You know me. I wear like nothing. I won't bring that in my pocket, but I'll have a nut driver.
I will put this in my pocket when I'm teaching courses because I use this so much to tighten these things.
That's way heavier than a nut driver.
I have a lighter one. I actually have a smaller, lighter one. NRS makes a socket wrench that's shorter, and I just put this is a 1/2 inch deep socket, but you have to get the 1/4 inch drive, and it's a long story. But what happens is if a boat flips with these NRS oar towers, they almost always hit a rock and bend over. So if you have to reflip a boat, you have to flip it back over and fix these. So you almost have to have these with you when you're running hard water with NRS frames, because you're probably gonna have to fix this when the boat flips.
And if you have the other type though, then they just bend.
Or they don't.
They bend a lot. Like, I remember using the old Echo frames on the 12. They were always bent and off angle,
Yeah, just deal.
Yeah.
So this is just not good. And so what happens here is, I want to see, that boat on the left is going where you're supposed to go. But yeah, the swimmer swam for underwater for 30 seconds.
Zach, this is the same footage. That flip was the same boat. Yeah, it's the same boat.
Oh, somebody just has like an old timey camera.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, there we go.
Got it. Okay. It seemed like it was different footage. That little civvy thing on the right doesn't look pretty.
And they're saying John's 30 seconds behind him. Is that what they just said?
No, there's a guy underwater right now. He's underwater for 30 seconds. He's still underwater. There he is right there.
Where?
On the right there.
Oh.
Which is crazy. He popped up next to the raft. And those of you who don't know, this is called the Room of Doom here. And so at high water, it's really hard to get out of the Room of Doom. At this flow, it doesn't look that big of a deal, but that's the famous Room of Doom in school. So he was underwater for a bit there, and the audio is not here. If you're watching the show still and the video, you can hear him just gasping for air. He's not super happy. But being underwater for 30 seconds is a long time.
Is he really under for 30 seconds?
That's what the video says. I'm just gonna believe what the video says. But a long enough amount of time that's unpleasant, right? That's
what I'm gonna say right here.
Higher float PFD.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you watch, that was my other point here. If you can also tell that it's riding high right now.
Yeah.
Right. So like it maybe wasn't as tight as it could have been. But also it's probably like a low float PFD.
Yeah.
He
looks good though. He looks cool.
For that kind of swim. Yeah. I think there were some injuries here. So I can't remember I didn't read all the comments, but yeah, that's a burly swim. That was boiling water, a long time underwater. And then, they're just kind of getting over. This is an unpleasant feeling for sure.
Yeah.
And his shoe came off. He's not like he's barefooted. Look at those. I mean, those Astral shoes. I have those same shoes. I love them for being cool and casual. But mine, if I wear a dry suit, come off. They don't stay on. So I have to get
oh, really?
Yeah, the Brewers are super cool, but they don't stay on my feet very well especially when I'm wearing a dry suit. So I stopped wearing them kayaking. But see how high his PFD is riding right now.
Yeah. So
this is where having like a PFD that's form fitting that you have tight that also sits low.
Yeah.
That probably affected a swim. Having the low float vest that rode up on him a bit.
Totally. It's a nasty swim.
Nasty swim. And I just want to the gentleman who shared this video, just to thank him. Thank you for doing this. Not everybody shares these kind of rough moments, and it really helps, I think, everybody, learn and watch and see what can happen and get tips and tricks about how to do things. So thanks for sharing it.
Yeah. Cool.
Well, Aaron, I think we did it. We're on 2 hours and 14 minutes. We still have some people watching. Oh man, hold on. Let's get through some comments. Sorry, because they agree with us. Agree with the oars. Cool. There might be 10s, but because if those oarlocks are out wide, he might need longer or fix the oarlocks.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, we love having you, Peter. Thank you. Pretty sure that's all I was running. Yeah. All right, sorry, you can finish up, Aaron. I just want to get to the comments.
Yeah, no, totally. I actually had to pull up our little thing. So if you guys made it to the end of the show, that's amazing. I'm not sure if Zach mentioned it at the beginning, but please hit the like button. And if you feel like it, subscribe. And of course, turn on the notifications because you want to know anytime Zach puts anything new online. It's always good content. Hey, Zach, do you have a show on Monday?
No, I don't know if we're going to do that show for a while.
Okay.
I've just been really busy. So I don't think there will be. I might be going on a 5-day trip Monday. So we may not have a Friday show either. We'll see what happens.
And I want to thank all you guys for tuning in. Appreciate all your comments as usual. It's a lot of fun. Zach, it's enjoyable doing this. No win. Yeah, right. No win footage. What?
I have some. What? I have more.
Yeah, I gotta go. I got a kid to take care of here. Yeah, if you guys have videos or comments, you can leave a link below in the comments. We'll address those. If you're watching afterwards, leave comments. We'll address them later on. If you have videos you want us to watch, you can send to me, Aaron, at riversandoceans.com.
Or if you want to flow on the Oahe next week.
Yeah, you can. You can send me a note, and I'll give you a number. It has nothing to do with reality, but yeah, you want to know my thought on what the flows will be on the Oahe? Give me a call, or excuse me, send me an email. So I think that's it. Zach, anything else?
No, I think that's it. I'm going to click our ending, and thanks everybody for joining. We'll see you hopefully next week.
Yeah, have a good